Oh, I forgot to tell you guys we're live. Do you know? Do you know how difficult it is to keep track of who's supposed to be on what show now? This is only the third one we've done like this, and already I was like, I don't know who my co-hosts are. I don't know whose turn it is for 20 questions. Like, it is the hardest thing to keep track of, and I don't know why. Maybe eventually we'll fall into a rhythm. Who's here? Who? I don't even know who's with me today. Wes? Is it Wes? Is it Ryan from the VR grid?
You will address us as DJ.
I mean, perfect because I kind of want to DJ.
You only have yourself to blame for this, Brian. You only have yourself.
I am well aware. Don't worry. Everybody else also wants to only blame myself for it. So this is not confusing in the slightest. It's an AJ day. It's a Miles day. It's gonna be a good day.
DJ.
I got a feeling.
T-Wise. Where's Dage?
I was actually just thinking about it, and I was like, oh, I didn't think of what to call this day. And so...
West Stage. Yeah. T-Wise West Stage. Yeah. Well, I'm glad the show's off to a good start.
Yeah, my apologies to everybody.
Only down from here.
This is why there's no point in being on time, and has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with you guys. No, sure, you can show up like 5 minutes late, and you can skip all of this nonsense.
Well, we actually rehearsed this intro for like 10 minutes, and this is the best take yet.
Miles, I think you want to know this. Nathan in the chat says Miles is pretty.
Nathan also said like 800 other comments apparently.
Oh, they ignore them. That's fine.
Okay. Fine. I know where I stand. Thanks a lot, Nathan. All right.
You know he's pretty.
Yeah, I bet Nathan's pretty too. All right, guys, let's fucking do this. I will introduce the show, I swear, but I do want to point out that Looper, the Underground, the Gamecat, the €2 has the best tip ever. He said, this thumbnail will make you laugh in 2 or 3 years. Which is perfect. This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live every single Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. We do it live right here on YouTube for your viewing pleasure. But we also care so very much about your oral pleasure. That's why our friend Rye pop up with this on podcast services of your choice. My name is Brian Pop, this channel right here, PSVR without Parole, and to my right, my former Monday host. It is AJ from the Underground, PSVR Underground. What's going on, AJ? What's happening?
What is up, Brian? What is up, Miles? What is up, Game Cats? Happy My J. Die J?
My J.
We'll work on that.
Everybody's
What's up,
J.
man? Oh man. Yeah. New format.
Yeah.
It feels so different. I'm so lost now.
Okay.
I'm usually
I just have to look and find out where I was positioned because I can still do that. You're both that side of me. So hello over there. Hello.
I'd give you a high five, but we'd just both slam into AJ's ears. Which is
AJ. Well, AJ has to do that.
Oh, yeah,
like a crab.
Awesome.
There you go.
Wow, the show's really going off the
fives all
rails.
around.
Why do people tune in? We also got Miles Dyer from youtube.com/Miles. What's up, Miles? Miles Dyer. Everybody, it's Miles Dyer.
Oi, it's Miles Dyer.
Oi, oi.
I feel like I'm in my neighbourhood. This is awesome. I feel just at home. That's how the postman's.
Hey, good bloke.
The mailman. Miles Dyer. Bloody good, mate. Hi, Brian. Hey, AJ. Yeah, doing good. Not played a lot of PSVR2. I think I'm just still just dealing with the after effects of Madison VR. But yeah, man, what a game. And I still have a lot more to play of it. And I've been so impressed to see the continued reaction as more and more people have played it. Because when we spoke last week, it had just come out. A lot of people were even saying, Brian, don't put anything on screen that's going to spoil it. I haven't played it yet. But now we've heard all the Game Cats that have jumped in. I'm tempted to say it's almost unanimous. People are having a brilliant time with it.
Almost. Like the things that seem to be jumping out that people are struggling with more than I did or that are affecting people's enjoyment of it more than my enjoyment is some of the interactions, right? The times where you reach out and you pull the trigger to interact, like, going into the well or activating the safe, that kind of things where you're like, why this should be easier. And like, I get that. I just didn't struggle with it as much or find it to even remotely hinder my opinion of the game. But I get it. We all want things to be VR AF, and it would be really nice if those things were a little bit more clear.
I've heard they patched the ability to swap items at the same time now. So like, there's the puzzle where you got to put the different discs in with is it the planets, and you'd always have to swap them around. You'd have to put it on your back before you could then place it back in. I think you can now take it out and put it back somewhere else. So there's been quite a few quick patches they've done already. I haven't tested it myself, but it feels like these are things that they could keep patching, but I'm not a developer. I'm always like, if it works, don't touch it. Like that would be my. But I know for them, they probably can. Oh no, we can fix that. So
they could touch it up a little bit, but really, like, if you're concerned about things like the inventory, the way the inventory works, or some of these other things, I think you're missing the entire point of the game. Really, it's kind of an oversight, like, because it's like those things aren't the point of the game. The point of the game is to be a super scary experience that's like thrilling and fun, and that's exactly what it does. It also looks great too. So yeah, I mean, while I typically agree with those things, it's not like, it's not really something that is a detriment to the game overall or the experience overall, at least for me.
The Gamecat Andrew Ehrenreich with the $5 tip says, almost done with Madison. Holy fuck. I'm really glad that Super Chats allow swears in, because otherwise that we would have lost all impact on that. It says, holy fuck, I thought Overdark was scary, but this makes Overdark feel like a nice, quiet game of Scrabble with grandma. That is a phenomenal tip. Thank you so much for your support, Andrew. I agree. I mean, Overdark was great. It really scratched the itch of something that I needed in VR, like something that like kind of like looked and felt polished, and got the scares going. But Madison is it's in a league of its own. There's no doubt about it. It's in a league of its own. It's a longer game. It's twice as long as Overdark. It's 10 times scarier. I think the puzzles were way better done than Overdark, and it was only $5 more. So I hope Overdark got the spotlight on it while it could. We paid attention to it for like 6 episodes on GAMESCAST. So I think we shone enough of a light on it, because I think at this point, if you're looking for a horror puzzle game in VR, you're not going to Overdark. You're going to Madison.
Yeah, it was such a blessing in disguise for Overdark that Madison got delayed one more time, because it would have gotten completely overlooked. And that would have been a shame too, because it's a good game. Like, it's really polished and pretty quality. And well, I guess it does have a little bit of Jenkins stuff, of course, but yeah, and it's definitely, compared to Madison, it is like a walk in the park. I mean, it's got the creepy atmosphere or whatever. I didn't think Overdark was scary one bit, but it does encapsulate that like horror universe vibe to it, which was fun.
Durbin Brown in the chat said, I had a lot of fun with Madison, but I didn't find it as scary as everyone else. Dude, there's a part of me that's a little bit jealous of you, like, because it was almost too much for me to take. I would love to find out more about your history with horror, Durbin Brown, because you're the kind of person that intrigues me, right? Whereas this game was almost hard for me to play because it was so scary. Not almost hard, it was hard for me to play at points. That like, I'm curious to know like what games did scare you in VR so far. So I'll be looking for your name in the chat if you feel like sharing. Not sure Brondo with the $10 tip says, just because you're also very special. Boy, he nailed that. This is the special crew today. Looper the Underground Game Cat with the €2 says, this thumbnail will make you laugh in 2 or 3 years. I already said that. I do want to point out, this is one of those slower weeks in VR where I was like, I got to come up with a generic title. What do you guys want to talk about? The future of PSVR2. Perfect. So the thumbnail already made me laugh earlier today. Paradise Decay with the £2 says, everyone buy Madison VR. Just saying. Hell yeah. I gotta like it.
Absolutely. What up, PD?
Hell yeah. Looper the Underground Game Cat with the €5 says, occasional jank only makes horror games scarier because you're never sure that things work the way you think they should.
Yeah, and especially because the inventory is still occurring in the game. Like things can happen while you're in the inventory. You're not safe, which
It's true.
Dead Space had always notoriously done it the best. The idea that there's no pause button, the idea that you can't just look at your inventory to stay safe for a while. No, you're constantly in the moment.
Yeah. We got one or two more tips. AJ, first I want to ask you, AJ, because you weren't on last week's episode. I gave Madison a 10 because I said it had set a new high watermark for not only puzzle games, but also like realism in VR. Did you guys hear that? Did you hear the pile up that just happened outside of my apartment?
I heard some honking.
Okay. I mean, puzzle, even just as a puzzle game, even if you don't find it scary, I think it's still a great puzzle game. But then on top of that, the story kicks ass. The environments were like ultra realistic, and then it was the scariest thing I feel like I've played in a very long time, maybe rivaling only Resident Evil 7. And so it sets all these new high watermarks. So I had to give it a 10 in my book because that's sort of how I define a 10 in my book. But AJ, are you quite there as far as because you're the other one on the crew that does reviews occasionally, and I'm just curious what your numerical ranking would be for Madison.
Yeah, so I don't think it's obviously not a perfect game. I mean, not many games are, but even with its little bit of I struggle to even call them issues, though they technically are. Again, they just didn't really bother me. I still find it to be a masterpiece, a horror masterpiece. I mean, I also love horror movies, but the reality is you get like one good horror movie every 10 years. And I felt like this was one of the best horror movies, and you get to experience it yourself. And, all the nuances, like the eye tracked foveated rendering, the headset rumble, the way the haptics are really well implemented. Yeah, I mean, to me, if I were to give it a numerical score, it'd probably somewhere between the 9 to 9.5 range. But I still would give it the label of it being a masterpiece, despite not being perfect. It is an absolute masterpiece, in my opinion.
Excellent. Hold on a second. You go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say something that happened at the end of last week's show was Alexis, the creator of Madison. He hadn't been online much during the launch, and he actually did a tweet that I know some of you had seen, saying that his grandmother had passed away, Mafalda Scala. She just passed away that day, and some of you might be asking, what's the relevance of this other than he made Madison? Well, she was actually the person who brought to life Elizabeth Maxwell, who was the character that you see in the game. She was in all the photos. You see it in the trailer, I think, around the bed with the sort of the rolled up or the white eyes. And I just think that it's such a cool legacy for someone who's a game to be able to reflect on launch day. Obviously, unfortunate circumstances for the passing, but to sort of I don't know how I'd feel about that, memorializing your grandma in a really messed up game. But he said that she was incredibly supportive of the whole process. And the journey of him, building this game. So I just thought it was much love to him, amazing work with this game, and glad that it's been a positive success, but also quite a strangely touching thing to put out there. Because when he did the message, he actually put the photo not of his grandma as the character, which is just so disturbing.
Right. Yeah. I was actually a little confused when I first saw that, because I was like, is this an in-universe tweet,
right?
But no, it was legit. His grandma did pass away, and it was cool to know that she was supportive and that it was based on a real person and all that. I'd fucking love to be remembered that way, right? Some creepy old dude in a VR horror game. That's how I want to go out, man. Yep.
Oh
yeah. A couple more tips. What do we got? We got. Now let's try in the game Feline. There he is. Wow. With the $5 tip. Was totally going to wait to play Madison, but the hype was too much. Glad I jumped in. Gem of a game.
Go and get it, man. Go and support it, especially during these times with the games industry, everything that's going on. You're seeing what's happening to massively successful studios with hit games. And, right now, Like, I mean, the truth is the games industry, it literally makes more than the music industry and the movie industry combined. And it's still struggling in some ways. I mean, that's partly to do with a lot of leadership stuff, but it has never been a more important time to go and support these games. I mean, we are incredibly lucky to have like VR as this emerging thing that, you know, it doesn't have the support and, you know, profits that other things have. So don't take this moment for granted, man. Right now has never been a better time to support awesome games.
Yeah, I mean, these are, you know, these are not AAA games. These are not on a platform with 50 million gamers. Madison VR, you know, the most it could possibly sell is about 1 million copies. And that's only if every single person with a PSVR2 headset buys it. I know it's on Steam as well. I have no idea what's going on over there. But like, yeah, I mean, I you know, 100% feel like support the developers that are doing the things that you love. And I get waiting for sales and stuff, but for $35, man, like I honestly feel like $35 from Madison is a bargain. So I have, however, just so we're not ignoring some of the issues that have been popping up, I've gotten plenty of comments from plenty of people who are experiencing plenty of bugs. So keep that in mind too. If you do experience any bugs, clip it for perp, man, and send it their way, because they were really good about fixing stuff before launch and after launch. And so, you know, as long as they know that their job's not done, that's the important part. They need to know that, hey, there's still a few issues that need to be fixed. It's clearly not happening to everybody, right? They're very, very few and far between comments that I'm getting, but they are things that are ruining people's experience. So we're not ignoring that. Andrew Bailey with the 2 quid says, this tip is just to make AJ feel at home and stuff.
Oh, thank you, Andrew Bailey and stuff.
Sun WTF with the $5 tip says, as a non-horror fan, Madison has absolutely redefined the genre for me. That's what I like to hear.
You know what makes it even better is like I wanted like PT for so long, and it's a very PT inspired game. So yeah, if ever you were like disappointed in that never coming to fruition fully, then like yeah, this is a good outlet for that.
The closest I got to playing PT in VR was playing a Rec Room version of it, and still spooked me out.
Amazing, yeah, dude. The number of times I've been spooked in Rec Room, like some of the shit they do in there is actually really effective.
Yeah,
they did a Slenderman game, but Slenderman came out in a T-pose like this, coming towards you, and it kind of killed the vibe. Hopefully that won't happen, because have we got Slenderman coming out this year?
Yeah, September 13th, I think, if I have my dates right.
Was it?
but there were some Slenderman games in Dreams, made in Dreams that were phenomenal, like especially in VR. Very, very disturbing stuff. I don't know if it was scary, but disturbing might be the right word. All right, guys, 20 minutes into the show. It's probably time to start this thing. We like to thank everybody, you know, who donates to the show and supports the channel. But every GAMESCAST, we used to say every Monday, but now every GAMESCAST, we like to support a whole different group of people. Isn't that right, AJ?
That is right, Brian. We like to support those who support us in another way by changing their name to something GameCat related, or something GameCat adjacent, as you and something GameCat adjacent like to say. And this week, Brian and Miles, we have one new GameCat to welcome to the GameCat Dojo. But it's not just one. It is a very, very special one.
It's a good one.
It is AJ, the GameCat Puppeteer.
Bing! Look at that fucking profile picture. It's got AJ as the puppeteer and me and Miles as marionettes. This is fucking great, dude.
I mean, it's just amazing how the show goes. This is how I'm operating the show right now.
Yeah.
Controlling
I've actually got them removed. AI is removing the string so you can't see it, but yeah.
I love that picture. That picture's glorious. I love you guys.
I agree, AJ.
Good shit. Drink the coffee, Brian. I'm trying. Sorry, I'm working on it. There we go. Yeah, got it.
I came dangerously close to pouring coffee down my face. That's a joke for the audio listeners. If you change, I can't do this. This is the first time in a long time we've only had one GameCat name change. But if you change your name to GameCat because you love us almost as much as we love you, make sure you put hashtag GameCat under the comments of any Without Parole video so that AJ or whoever the fuck shows up next week can give you a shout out on next week's show. Boink. All right.
This is the thing you don't know.
What's that?
Is that Tornado is actually controlling me. So she's actually the puppeteer behind me.
Which is pretty good because she's sleeping. Dude, for real. Hold on. Can you guys want to hold on a second? I'm going to go big screen here so you guys can see this.
Doll.
She's got so many places to sleep in this apartment. And she like, oh, the tail's moving. She just climbs on top of her gigantic scratching post. And that's where she, dude, it's like half the size of her. It's literally half her size. She absolutely has way more comfortable places to sleep, but you know what? Who am I to judge a cat? All right, guys, you want to start with good news or bad news?
The good news, Brian, is that I've been playing a lot of Gran Turismo 7. Dude, this game, after over a year, is still freaking amazing, still blowing my mind. And I've been absolutely addicted to it. I know I just threw this into the show. I'm sorry.
Dude, totally fine by me.
I haven't played since any of the updates, AJ. I've not even played the snow level. Like I hear
you haven't even played this. Oh,
no.
Man.
I need to get on it.
Dude, yeah. So, yeah, Gran Turismo 7 still continues to blow my mind 1 year later, over 1 year later. So good. But yeah, the snow levels are fantastic. The last update, they added a couple new vehicles, and we talked about it on the show. And one of them is like an open top, like electric car thing. Dude, that thing is so sweet. The new vehicles I highly recommend. The open top electric like rocket car is amazing. I think what is it? I think it's Skoda that makes it. I want to say Skoda or Skona. But also there's a Lamborghini SUV, and I was like, I don't really care about a Lamborghini SUV, but it's actually designed, I guess, with the intention of using with the snow tracks, and that thing hauls ass in the snow. So highly recommend it. Dude, I've been playing the shit. I was gonna like clean on like Saturday, and like I just ended up playing like Gran Turismo for like 2 hours, and I regret nothing.
Nice.
That's amazing. And I'm just impressed that every time they add cars, there's no question of like, but what about VR? It's like, yeah, whatever they add to the game is on VR. So, I mean, at launch, it was like over 400 cars, right? Yeah. And I'm not saying it's been like hundreds of cars since, but I mean, the updates seem to be coming quite regularly. It's amazing that this is continuing to support the VR version of the game as well.
I mean, as somebody who only had, I don't know, a handful of cars, 20, 30 cars, I don't even know how many you have by the time you roll credits in that game. And I know that rolling credits isn't the end of the game, but that's when I figured it was time to review it. Like, new cars don't really excite me in this game because there's still so many more that I don't have, right? You're like, oh, we just added 5 new cars. Great. Well, guess what? There's hundreds of cars that I haven't seen yet. And so for me, it's the new tracks that make me want to dive back in. And until I see that, I kind of don't do it, which is unfortunate. But I also don't have my, I've been rearranging shit for like weeks now. And I want to make sure that I have a place where my racing rig can be set up at all times so I can just dive back in. Because that's how I want to play this game, man. I don't want to play this with the dual sense.
Dude, you would be shocked, Brian. Like, sometimes the game kind of forces you to like race with some stuff that, you want to drive all the muscle cars, you want to drive like the really fast race cars. But let me tell you, man, some of the coolest experience I've had in this game is like driving some of just like the dinky, like I was driving this like little compact Honda, and like it was so immersive. Like we're like racing around the track in like these little tiny Hondas that you look at and you'd be like, oh, that doesn't look cool or whatever. But then you get in it, and I was just like, dude, this is like so amazingly immersive and realistic. Or like the Japanese like ambulance van. It is so cool, dude. Like, yeah, these are goofy, really slow cars. Like they've got like 80 horsepower. But they're also like it's amazing that these can be also extremely fun as well. It's totally unexpected and just really awesome.
Did you
It's
see the
so
clip of the
true, and
week?
it goes to the credit of it being a simulator that every vehicle does feel different, from the haptics to the sound of the engine. I mean,
Physics.
I'm not. We have a phrase in the UK, I mean, you fill up your car with petrol, we say over here, like gas. And the term is, if you're really into cars, you're a petrol head. Do you call yourself a gas head over there? Is that what?
Gearhead, I think, is the
Gearhead. Okay,
accepted
gearhead.
term,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm not a petrol head at all. Know very little about cars, but even I can definitely sense a difference in every vehicle, and the fact that they can create that sensation like across hundreds of different vehicles is just a testament to the great design, because it's not just as simple, and we all know this. Oh, well, they get the sound right and the haptics and the controllers right for the flat screen, so of course it's going to work in VR. In VR, there is so much more you have to take into consideration to convince people that you're not in a game. When you're doing that, you feel like you're racing a vehicle, and yeah.
I got everybody. I've been getting a bunch of people at my work really interested in Gran Turismo, because I'm like, oh man, I work in the automobile industry, and so like we're around cars like all the time, and like so I'm telling people like, oh, I've been playing so much Gran Turismo 7 lately, and it's in VR, and they're like, oh, that's really cool, and I'm like, yeah, like I love to like go jump in some of the cars that like we work with and stuff, and drive around and race with those, and they're like, oh, that's amazing, and they're like, how much is that again? I'm like, well, it's going to cost you probably about $1,500 total for my setup, and they're like, oh yeah, no, I'm good. They're all really excited until I mentioned the price, so I can't wait for the day where VR is super cheap, and just you could go out and pay $200 and get like a full high quality experience.
Well, it's even like 10, well, not even 10 years ago, I went to a simulator event for my friend's birthday, where you sat in a like body of a Formula One racing car. So you're actually sitting in it, and there are hydraulics and stuff, so you can actually feel the G-force not fully when you crash into the barrier, but you can feel it decent. But what was
I'm
it
good
on the
with
front?
this little headset rumble.
Yeah. But on the front, it was 3 monitors. So it's not even one big screen. And actually, you see this a lot when you look online for the cost of simulator rigs. A lot of them are just 3 monitors. And you're just like, and these cost thousands and thousands. And so when you think, actually, for the price of a PlayStation 5, PSVR2 headset, and the actual rig that if you have the space for it, I would argue, and obviously I would definitely lend my opinion more towards people that are professional simulator folk, but a lot of them I hear is like, well, no, actually, if you bought your PS5 and VR headset just for GT7 because you wanted a racing sim, it's easily worth the price, because you're not looking at 3 monitors. You can literally look out the right window of your car as you're turning around a corner to see the road ahead. You can look behind you when people are racing up, like just those aspects of it. It's nothing short of a miracle that to kickstart just the second PSVR headset that we have this game, because we all suspected it looks like this could be a VR title, and despite that, it's every time you jump back into this game and it goes from the flat screen mode in the pit stop to then VR, just every time it's a gasp moment for me.
Dude, and just looking at the lighting in this footage that I've got playing right now, it's just beautiful, man. Yeah. Like it just looks so pretty. And I mean, I haven't actually had a chance to jump back into Gran Turismo in quite a while. This might actually be, right? Yeah. But this just reminds me, we were talking about SSX before the show started, and like the pink and purple lights on the snow, like just remind me of that, and it's stunning.
It's tricky. Dude, it is totally worth buying into VR for Gran Turismo alone. Even if you're like not a fan of sim racers, you will become one, and it just gets better and better as time goes on.
For sure. So guys,
I want to play it now.
Yes, my job here is done.
so let's try this again. You guys want the good news or the bad news?
What's the bad news? Should we go bad news?
Let's go with bad news. Wanderer, the Fragments of Fate has been delayed until September 12th. And I mean, you can look at this however you want to. You could totally frame this as a bad thing, frame it as a good thing. But either way, the developers have said it's coming September 12th, citing the fact that they've rebuilt the game from the ground up in Unreal 5, and then that they just want the additional couple months for some polish.
Excellent.
Yeah, Miles, is this a good news or bad news?
Yeah. I mean, I trust these guys so much. And I have a lot of empathy for their like community manager having to like what feels like years now just keep thinking of social posts to post every week to promote this game that is just the longest runway of anticipation from everyone. Yeah, I mean, we know this is going to be a great game, and that again, it's just not as they say, it's just not a remaster. They've added a lot to it, and if it's going to be using Unreal 5, they've really proven themselves with the PSVR version how they can really push the hardware and maximize the capabilities. And so, I think the haptics alone in this game are just going to be absolutely phenomenal. You think about all the different items that you can use in the game, which they love showcasing. I just have this feeling that they've really thought about every single item interaction and how that can feel in your hands. So, that's just one aspect of it. So they can take as long as they want, as long as it's before the PSVR3 is announced.
I think Madison proves that. I don't care if a game gets delayed 8 times before coming out that week. As long as it launches in a really good state and delivers on the expectations of what it is, yeah, I'll wait as long as it needs to be. I mean, Behemoth had the same thing happen last year where it got delayed. I was like, yeah, I don't care. I want it to be good. Okay. Some may be disappointed when a game gets delayed, not as disappointed as when a game launches broken as shit and is just a disgrace.
Yeah. No, dude, I mean, when I jump into a game and it already looks bad, or if it's like only got click turning, or if it's just, or if just simple interactions don't work properly, I get immediately irritated. Immediately. Like, it's like the first impressions are so important. And, speaking from, I think, a very unique point of view is when I have to sit down a week leading up to launch and play a game that is just not great or has a lot of different problems, and then I put that review out. I'm likely not going to have a chance to go back and replay that whole game and re-review that whole game 3, 4, 5, 6 months later when they patch everything, right? And so so I can only imagine that I'm in a similar boat as other reviewers. I can only imagine that that whatever that review says, and I'm not talking specifically without Parole, I'm talking like all review outlets. That's just gonna be the thing that people see when they're curious about a game, right? Maybe you post something in the comments and you pin a comment and say, "Oh, since this review, smooth turning has been improved." Blah 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 blah. But
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Damage is already done, and
Exactly.
That's a great point to bring up. You think about like the launch. We've said it over and over. Like, your launch is your most important time for launching a new game. Is that launch period? Because think about all those reviews, once those reviews come out, those are going to stay there pretty much forever. Yep. There may be some updated videos, but that's what people are going to see mostly, are those initial reviews. You want those to be good. If those are bad, you got to live with that forever. That's going to cost you big time, several times later.
Yeah, and it also leaves that feeling, even if it's subconscious, of when you're playing the updated version of okay, but is this like the final version? Do you know what I mean? It's the sense of what are they going to be adding next? And of course, games are always updated with patches, but if it's something where it feels unfinished or not the full version that was promised, just there's that thing behind in your mind that's always going to be there that's going to take any future enjoyment out. Because yeah, as has been said, first impressions, it's not just a kind of stuck up kind of thing. It's just human nature. We are inundated with so much content, not just in gaming, movies, music, and therefore that very first impression you get, it is a lasting impression.
Yeah.
And it's how you feel about the game moving forward. I can think of a lot of games in the past where some games have started really, really well, and then they've made some changes which have just ruined the game, and then they fix them again. But by that point, there's a sort of sour taste in the mouth, and like I just can't get round to enjoying it. And I mean, one example I'd give is like Returnal. Returnal is a brilliant first-party game from PlayStation. For those that don't know how it works, it's a roguelite. So you get to a boss, and if you beat the boss, you can then get a portal to go on to the next one. I did a 3-hour run where I'd already beaten the first boss. I beat the second boss, and then I went on to the third boss. And as I gave the finishing blow, killing the boss and popping the trophy, the game crashed, which meant I actually had to redo all of that again. Now, in my mind, I'm like, but this game is still phenomenal. I absolutely love it. But in my, like, fucking bones, like, I can't play that game because my brain just associates that feeling of wasting time. And so, yeah, it's just so important games are got right, because it's not even a question of gamers just being stuck up. It's just human nature. If it's very easy to give, bad impressions, it's very difficult to give good ones. And so you have to just make sure you get it right.
The last time we'd seen Wanderer, they showed off this new trailer, and then at the very end of it, they announced Wanderer 2, which looks like it's going to be pirate themed. My question is does this delay affect the sequel as well? Like, I mean, saying, okay, listen, we could spend more time on this game than we thought. Does that push the second game forward as well? It's all fine in my book. Like, I'm not complaining about it, right? Because I'm like, whatever, these games will get here eventually, and we have so much to play in the meantime. But I am kind of curious, like, what does that mean internally for them?
I actually like that there's something to look forward to after playing through Wanderer, because this is a pretty big deal of a game. So it'll be awesome if they crush it with this, as we expect them to do. And then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we get a sequel to look forward to right after that. That's going to be pretty sweet. I don't think this release is going to affect the next game at all, so much as maybe how well this does. I feel like how well Fragments of Fate does will have a bigger effect or impact on the how the second game is handled.
Yeah.
Well, if this game doesn't sell well, I've lost all faith in the VR community. Because, I mean, come on. Like, we played Wanderer on PSVR 1, and on PSVR 1, we're like, isn't this what PSVR2 games are supposed to look like? Like, we were all kind of blown away when we jumped in. Like, this looks fucking amazing. And then, of course, the puzzles and the gameplay were great, too. So,
I never completed it on PSVR. And obviously, I don't want us to go into spoilers.
Sure.
But does the way the game end lend itself to the idea that there was a sequel? Like,
listen, without spoiling anything, yes.
Okay.
But also, the game goes so off the rails, like from what you get used to doing and jumping around between the specific areas for so long, and kind of like, oh, I'm on the moon, I'm going to grab something in the moon that I found on the moon and go use it to solve a puzzle in a Mayan temple or whatever. I forget how it worked. And you just kind of get used to these different environments that you're, quantum leaping back and forth into. And then it just goes completely off the rails, and you're like, this is fucking bonkers. Like, it's just, it does exactly what it needed to at the exact right time to keep the players interested and to keep things fresh. And it just becomes like, it's like, man, if you haven't finished Wanderer, you have not fucking played Wanderer. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No offense.
No, that's awesome. And I think, therefore, as AJ was saying, like, them getting this first game right, this is going to be the marketing for the sequel. Like, the better they can make this game, the more people are going to roll credits and be like, oh my, because there's no doubt they're going to factor in more nudges to this sequel now that they've got that in development. So they can just say, they want you people ending going, that was incredible. Oh my God, there's more to come. Like, it's how I feel with, like, Naughty Dog does it with a lot of their, remasters. As much as people dislike it, it is a part of marketing. But the fact that they're actually not just remastering it, but adding to it is probably a part of the development process of the second game as well. Naughty Dog, when they remade, I can't remember, they basically remade one game, and then that actually helped them prepare for the next console.
They remade The Last of Us, Or they remastered The Last of Us on PS4 early on.
That was it. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, you actually took the words right out of my mouth. That
was
was exactly what I was thinking of. Real quick here, I want to make sure we don't let these tips get too far behind us. Scott, the PSVR Gamecat for Life with the level 1 membership. What's up, Scott? Says, I'll be playing Madison on my day off. Wish me luck. We do wish you luck.
Way to spend your day off.
Right, you're going to need a day off after your day off.
Like, yes. Yeah, wait to go back to work.
I'm going to have a nice, relaxing walk through this house.
The Game Cat, Andrew Ehrenreich with the $5 tip says, also, I ate a piece of shroom chocolate before playing yesterday. Later IRL, my kitchen lights flickered per second and I nearly had a heart attack. Yeah, can totally understand that. I will say, not endorsing microdosing or illegal drugs of any kind, but you should definitely play Madison on shrooms. Grandpa's Barbecue or Game Cat with the Australian $2 tip says, hey Miles, AJ, in morning chat. Oh, hi Brian. That's very nice of you. I'll reluctantly like that comment. Paradise Decay with the 2 quid says, mortuary assistant VR port should be next. Is that because the game will have killed us all? I don't know. Thank you, PD.
I just love that it was my most anticipated horror game and it actually delivered. That does make me very happy. I really don't give a shit about any other upcoming horror game except for Phasmophobia. That's the next big one I'm looking forward to.
Oh my god,
it's gonna be so fun.
And what a nice change of pace Phasmophobia will be because you get to play it with friends. Like Madison doesn't work with friends, right? It's not the kind of game that that I expect to see comments being like, "Oh, I'll play it if they add a co-op mode." No, fuck that.
The friends in your head, maybe.
yeah. Right? Like things like Green Hell. I was like, oh yeah, actually this does work great with co-op. Like that's the kind of thing that that surprisingly was better with co-op. But yeah, dude, Phasmophobia, getting to get in there and like hide behind your friends and work together and all that, massively different vibe with that release. Should be fun. Also, I feel like that could be coming out any second. You know what? We'll get to that. We've got some future predictions of PSVR2 to talk about later in the episode, so we'll hold off on all that. Hey AJ, I want to talk to Samson.
Hey Miles.
That's not how this works. Samson143 VR with the $5 tip says, today sucked. Thanks for making it suck. Just a little bit less.
Well, Samson.
I'm going to leave Kill Artist's tip on the screen as we get back to the show. Stride keys went out today. Stride fragments of fate. That's it, guys. We've got the crossover that nobody asked for.
Wow.
Stride fragments of fate. No, Stride Fates keys went out today. It'll be coming out May 16th, so we got a week before that comes out. I get to play it today. Embargoed, obviously, so we'll have a review as soon as embargo's up, and I can't wait to talk about it as soon as embargo's up. However, it did come along with a little bit of news. AJ, what is that news so I can change the trailer?
Oh God, why did you do this to me?
I'm so sorry.
Right. Fates. Yes, very excited. I have not played it yet, so I can't break any embargo.
Can't also not talk about it. Sure.
I've been very, very excited about this. It comes out May 16th, which is next week. It comes with the base game plus a free DLC 1 plus graphical improvements, and it's going to have a frame rate of a locked 90 frames per second. And they say, quote, DLC 2 was developed concurrently with the PSVR2 version of the game, and porting it to PSVR2 can take an additional 2 to 2.5 months. Therefore, the decision was made to launch the game on PlayStation without this DLC 2 in order to meet the release window promised to the community. So
don't bitch, please, when the game comes out and everyone's like, how come Quest and PC got the second piece of DLC for free and we haven't gotten that yet? It's because they wanted to get Stride Fates out simultaneously, day and date, with the other versions on PSVR 2. So heads up, they're not trying to screw us.
As long as the base game and the DLC 1 are good, then that's all I care about first and foremost.
Yeah.
So DLC 2 will be free as well eventually.
So they actually didn't say that in the email. However, that is the assumption I got from the email. right?
It is
probably will
coming
be.
for $20.
Right. Yep. But very exciting. We've been waiting for this game for a really long time. And listen, I feel like I'm going to dance around the embargo a little bit by saying this. When I was playing today, I actually desperately wanted the endless mode. Like I really wanted to go and play Stride 1.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed that so much. I really enjoyed, just trying to in the endless mode just get further and further and further every single time, and slide under lasers and simultaneously take my gun out and shoot enemies and jump through windows, and the thing that's the pure action, because this game isn't pure action. This game is a lot of exploration. This game's a lot of like making it from point A to point B, but like in no particular time, right? So I kind of wish. I kind of wish they would bring over the original Stride to PSVR2 as well. Listen, I know I'm asking a lot here. Okay, with Joyway's track record, we should be happy that we're getting Stride Fates. but yeah,
especially since Run or Die VR isn't about anymore. This is definitely going to scratch that itch. Hopefully,
you ruined it for everybody, Miles. I'm so disappointed in you.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
Yeah.
Dude,
Anyway.
But yeah, this is like the mirror's edge of VR. This is a pretty awesome concept, a very inspired game, and this is a concept that I've been very excited. Well, yeah, I mean, I love the first Stride, but yeah, there was I did wish there was something more to it. If I had to choose between the two, I would probably choose the story-driven campaign over the obstacle course time trials, right? But we'll see. I know we probably don't know much about the DLC or what it is, but I don't know if that's something that's planned, is like a time trials mode or something. But I'd rather just play through a nice story-driven campaign and move on.
Yeah,
I just love the part in the trailer where they lob the magazine in the air and slam the gun into it and reload that way. There's just quite a few VRAF moments in this trailer that I love. Pushing the table over, shooting behind it. Maybe that was something they had to attempt each time 100 times, because I'm going to be in there doing it and just fall over the table and then just get shot to pieces.
$30. $30 is coming out next week. Very cool, man. Very cool. Very cool that all these titles are coming to PSVR 2 in all sort of seemingly around the same time. With Madison happening last week and this happening next week. It's just a bunch of games that have sort of been like occupying a lot of space in my brain for months, if not over a year. So it's good to kind of finally have our hands on them. It's good stuff. Don't mind me, guys. I'm going to get back to this and then get back to this and then say, Kill Artist 1, the Dreamweaver Gamecat with the $5 tip, says, I am fighting Ramon in RE4 Remake. It's the game that keeps on giving. LOL. I'm blown away every time I fire this game up. The scale and the graphics are amazing. I was actually working on a Resident Evil 4 review during the last few days, and and then I got sick. I've been sick for like 3 days. But yeah, I do plan to have a Resident Evil 4 review done at some point. It's a 10 out of 10. I mean, come on. Let's move.
I totally forgot you hadn't done. I thought you had.
It came out in December during the award show time. And everything got back burner during the award show. And then no one watched the award show. And then they're like, where's the Resident Evil review? And I'm like, I don't know.
The award show's got views.
Yeah. Like half the views of a PSVR this week. It sure does have views.
It was very special.
5
It was
views.
awesome.
I'm not complaining. I felt very rewarded for having done that. Chrome Colossus with the $5 tip says, Hi guys. Hi Chrome. Just a heads up to be sure it gets mentioned. Snow Scout can be wishlisted, and whether it comes out or not depends on that interest. Guys, I think we should talk about the next news story. Which
thanks for ruining it, Chrome.
Yeah, I gotta first give a shout out.
I'm so excited to get to announce that this was the next thing we were talking about. You just ruined it.
Why don't we just let the chat do the show? We'll just sit here and let them chat among themselves.
You guys,
We'll watch them. We'll watch them do the show now. This show's rubbish. Turn it off.
This show sucks.
Oh, my toes are so dirty. Tornado's like, what the fuck are you doing?
All right, can we resume the show before you scar us all?
I thought the chat was doing the show.
This is doing more damage to me psychologically than Madison.
Mission accomplished.
All I can see is LOL from Tiff. You know what's cool playing Dead Space in first person? If only it were in VR and first person. It's going to be a drug show if you do that. Unhappy face ketchup pizza. This time I'm without Parole. Sirens on my end, so I'm saying, sup YouTube. Okay, let's talk about how we get Fallout 4 in VR.
They covered for you nicely there, Brian, with that.
Wow, all this OnlyFans content for free.
Listen, we ain't hiding shit behind the paywall. Oh, that's not true. I did the first 90 minutes of Madison behind the paywall. My bad. Everyone's like, you can revolt now. You can get mad that you didn't have something that you didn't know you needed, or that you were missing out on. So Snow Scout, as Chrome Colossus alluded to, is in fact, listen, shout out to our amazing community. That's what I wanted to start this with, because they are so attentive and so good at keeping an eye on the PlayStation Store that they know about a game that gets announced way before I do. And so anytime there's a new game listed on the PlayStation Store, somebody screenshots it, they throw it into the PSVR news channel over on our Discord. If you're not already a member of our Discord, click the link in the description below. Come join us over there. You're always going to get the PSVR2 news first over there. And that's where people are just hanging out 24/7. Does not matter what time of day it is. And they are always talking about it. So if you're a huge PSVR2 fan, you should already be over there. But Snow Scout is a game that appeared on the PlayStation Store earlier today. And I mean, listen, first thing you can do is go over to the Steam store and go read through some of their reviews, and or you can just watch the trailer and you can say, hey, this looks a little bit like Firewatch, which we never got in VR, which would have been great. So I reached out to the developers and was like, hey, this is a thing. This is like on the PlayStation Store. This is great. Same developers as Rainbow Reactor Fusion. And then when they responded to me, they said, "Hey, listen, it's not everything's not quite as it seems." And the developers posted this same exact thing over on Reddit as well. And so I'm gonna go full screen here, and we can go over to Reddit and see what they had to say, because again, not all is as it seems. So let me bring this up here. So developer wrote, we just announced Snow Scout on PSVR2 on the PSN. And they write, hey everyone, in the run-up to release of our PSVR2 game Rainbow Reactor Fusion, we already talked about the possibility of following up our PC VR game Snow Scout. Unfortunately, while Rainbow Reactor Fusion was well received in the community here, and the people who bought it rated it really well on the PSN, the overall sales numbers were quite disappointing. And just as a side note, it sounds like they were abysmal, the sales. So they said the way things are, it's really improbable that we'll make back the cost of porting that game in its lifetime. Things have been looking up a bit in the current. Things have been looking up a bit in the currently running PSN sale, though, and we have identified a low number of wish lists as the main problem with the game's launch. Aside from the fact, of course, that the game's concept is quite unique and surely doesn't appeal to everyone. But Snow Scout has the same issue, if you will. It's a mix of job simulator, a walking sim / adventure, a skiing game, and even a bit of a relationship simulator, since radio communication plays an important role in the game. So people have compared it to Firewatch, and I guess they're right. Well, to cut a long story short, we really have to see how wishlisting goes this time. If there's no interest in the game, it just wouldn't make sense to put in the work to do the port. We definitely have to release the game this year, or additional costs would make it even more unprofitable. But unless it looks like we can get about 5,000 wishlist ads for the game, it just doesn't make sense. So it's essentially up to you guys. Have a look at the Steam trailer and see if it could be for you. Vote with your clicks. That's pretty much it.
That's a cool way of going about this. Kind of like testing the water, I mean, yeah, when Rainbow Reactor came out, I mean, looking at it, obviously everything looking at something flat screen doesn't do it justice, but even just like the creative art style of it and stuff. For the record, yeah, I have heard it's pretty good. It's worth checking out, especially during this last sale. There was a lot of cats going to bat for it. But I just simply, I didn't really have any interest in it, and I look at it and it looked kind of like the aesthetic of it and everything wasn't very exciting to me or interesting at all. So I'm sure it's a fine game or whatnot, but I had zero interest in it. This, however, looks a little bit better. This looks like it could have some potential. Now it does seem like it could maybe be, I don't know. It looks 50% kind of cool because I love the snowy setting. I love the fact that you're on skis, that there's they're saying it's a little bit of an exploration element. But it also looks like it could be 50% really boring too. So I don't know.
Well, listen, to your point about Rainbow Reactor Fusion, Rainbow Reactor Fusion is a match 3 puzzle game, right? This is the kind of thing that we've all been playing on mobile phones for like 15 years, right? Like Candy Crush Saga, all that stuff. Very, very similar. And so like, is it the kind of game we really needed in VR? Is that the game they should have led with? I don't think so, right? They're like, how about you lead with a game that has a bit more universal appeal to gauge the interest of the other games in your catalog? I think Snow Scout has infinite more appeal than Rainbow Reactor Fusion does.
Absolutely, 100%.
Right,
100%.
Because I mean, like again, like they're leaning in a little bit to the comparisons to Firewatch, and that's again a game that throughout the entire PSVR 1 generation we were like, why the fuck don't we have Gone Home and Firewatch and all these other walking sims on PSVR 1? It's perfect, right? Because walking sims feel like they were designed for VR because a lot of it's just walking from one place to another and listening to a story unfold and like, picking up things and engaging in the environmental storytelling and sort of figuring out what's happened. Gone Home, I played flat screen and it was one of the most emotional things I've ever played in on a console. But if I was actually in that house and I was picking up the items in first person and I was running up to the attic at the end of the game, like with tears running down my eyes, I kid you not, I would be like in VR, it would have been so much more impactful. And so like, that's definitely why I think they should have led with this game and not been like, well, a lot of people didn't buy the game that like really isn't for everyone. So now we're not sure if we want to port the game that really is for way more people. It just seems like a strange way to do things, but I agree with you, AJ. This is the end of my rant, I swear. I agree with you. This is an interesting way to do things. And if it's not worth their time to port it, then it's not worth their time to port it. As much as I want this game, if no one's going to buy it and they can figure that out ahead of time, then yeah, save your fucking money.
Yeah, I think it's... I didn't know that was possible. I thought that you could only wish list stuff if it was already ported and ready to go kind of thing. I just assumed that because PlayStation just wouldn't want a load of stuff appearing on the store that then doesn't get published. They haven't ported it yet because obviously that's why they're trying to work out the costing. Right. Do you know what I mean though? Because couldn't just loads of games just fill up the store with wish list stuff and then that none of them actually appear?
I mean, if this pays off, then I'm assuming that we will see more developers do exactly that. It's just be like, hey, we're just going to gauge interest and see if this works. Because it sounds like it's not cheap for them to even do this, right? Like something to do with the listing on the store. They were talking about having to get a dev kit for another year if they don't get the game out this year. And so it could be very expensive if they don't port it over and they want to do it sometime later. Like, they're either going to do it this year or not at all. It sounds like, yeah, man, it's just an interesting way to do it. And I don't love it, right? Because it does make people excited for a game that could possibly never come. It feels like there should be a different place, like PlayStation.com and the PlayStation Store. Those websites are like virtually identical to each other. And I feel like this is something that should be happening over on the PlayStation.com side of the store rather than the store itself, right? There should be like a separate place to wishlist things, to be like to gauge interest. Again, an early access program would be amazing, right? So it feels like Sony's got some catching up to do to at least be in line with what the Steam store does. Yeah,
I'm really interested in this game, and actually just to put my thoughts on Rainbow Reactor Fusion, I actually had an amazing time with it. And look, I think when it comes to match 3 games, it's one of those typical examples in popular culture where, and especially in gaming, where there's a lot of people that hate on them, which, by the way, it's not to say you have to like them, but people hate on them as in, like, why would anyone like it? Well, the reason there's Candy Crush and all these games is match-free games are popular. It's like people that go, who likes Fortnite? Well, there's a reason why Fortnite is one of the most popular games in the world. It's like the more popular a genre gets, the more counter-narrative you're going to get. And again, it's not to say that everyone has to like it. So all I would say was, if you are into match-free games, I would recommend Rainbow Reactor Fusion. Yeah. And also, the throwing mechanics in that game are awesome. Like, the precision of, like, you have this massive grid and you've got to throw the balls, into the spaces. There's so many spaces they could fall into. Like, a lot of the times you could get it exactly where you wanted it, and I think that's a testament to the design. And then also you've got, like, the new balls coming from the side, but they're just out your peripheral vision, so if you're not paying attention, they drop on the floor. And they definitely make the most out of the VR experience with it. So again, I would only recommend people check it out if you are into match-free games. If you're more on the line, then I would say just check out reviews and let's plays about it first. But yeah, curious to see.
I will say that they gave Rainbow Reactor Fusion a reason to be in VR. Right? It's not as simple as just, it's a match-3 puzzle game and that's all you're doing. It's really good because throughout the course of the game, you unlock more tools, more items, and you
explore.
Mini Metroidvania sort of way. Yeah, you get to explore more and more areas of the reactor. It's got pretty cool backstory. So it's good. It's worth the price, at least. I'll say that.
If I liked columns on the Game Gear in 1993, would I like Rainbow Reactor?
Yeah, you'd probably like it as much as columns on the Game Gear. You just sold a copy. Okay. Yeah. It's a shame. I should have done a video on it. Oh wait, I did. Thanks for watching.
So Brian Bites.
Sirens on my ends.
What did it get on Brian Bites?
It got 2 out of 3 paws.
Okay. I did watch it, Brian. You're welcome.
Thank you. So happy.
No, thank you.
So finally, I just wanted to say that I played in the past year Firewatch. And I absolutely love that game, and it's one of those games that we just want to see in VR. And I think if they lean into it, like if people are saying, it feels like Firewatch, then
that's how you get people. That's how you get people. You go, it's like this in VR, and people will get it.
I mean,
it's like Metro in VR. Copyright infringement.
well, Wanderer, a game that I feel like stands on its own as an excellent game already. Like on their socials, they had like a TikTok that was like, it starts with, "Do you like Half-Life Alyx?" And then it goes into pitching their game. Like, it doesn't say we are that and stuff, but it does it in a kind of like, if you're into this kind of game, you'd be like, there are ways that you can bring it into the marketing. And looking at the footage on the trailer, like, I do look at that and go, it's a much colder Firewatch, like Snowwatch.
That's the struggle. That's definitely a struggle that VR games have. You have to explain to people that have no idea what you're talking about what it's like. And if you just go, look, this is our game. I mean, you're not even showing it in VR. You're not getting to interact or feel the gameplay. So it's like, you have to be able to describe it some way. And it's not my favorite method, but sometimes it's good enough. Legendary Tales is like Diablo and Souls in VR. Like, even though it pisses me off when some people like just say that, it's like, there's so much more to it. But I get it. That's what you have to do. I think just throwing the game up on the PlayStation Store is not gonna, and being like, I hope you wish list it. Like, that's not gonna work. But if they show more stuff and try to demonstrate or explain better, that's going to get people's attention more.
It's such a great point, because I mean, it's like when you talk to people about music and you talk about a band, you're like, what do they sound like? And you're not going to say, it's just metal or rock. That's too wide. It was a first-person shooter game. Like, you would say, it's like this. If you imagine this band and this band, like, mix it together, like, there's nothing wrong with saying like what.
There's so many subgenres in music now. Like, I go cross-eyed when people are
like, melodic. That's happening a lot with VR now. A lot of cross genres, and we always talk about how we want PlayStation to say, "Do you like this game?" Well, imagine now you can play it in VR. Like, we always say, that's the dream. Well, there's nothing wrong with saying, if you've ever wanted to, if you like these games, well, this is a game like that, but in VR. Like,
It's why nothing sells better than, Resident Evil 4 in VR, Resident Evil Village in VR. I mean, those are 1-to-1,
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm curious about this.
Yeah,
And it's going to be our first skiing game on PSVR2.
because
That'd
they
be
never ported Fract. God damn it. And, at least Kona had a snowmobile section, which was fun. Shut up. Kona was great. It was blurry, but it was great.
It's so blurry.
Wasn't that the Blizzard? Or not? No.
It's a blizzard, all
I
right.
mean, yeah, if the blizzard made it impossible to read the map, then sure. I couldn't believe how quickly you could beat that game on the flat screen because you can actually read the map and you have an idea of where to go next. In VR, you just have to just drive around randomly until you hit the right place. Waleed is now Gamecat Rare, specifically White Tiger with the level 1 membership, says, I won Madison in Gamertag's giveaway. Unlucky me. Okay.
Have fun.
Yeah,
Good
I mean-
luck.
I mean, you saved $35. That's pretty lucky.
That's pretty, yeah.
Enjoy your heart
Because you can
attack.
spend that on brown pants now.
You can. Violator, the Gamecat Rare Metal Messiah with the level 2 membership, said, just wanted to say hi to everyone. Interesting way to do it.
Hi,
Hi, everyone.
Violator.
JPEG Q with the $2 tip says Thrustmaster TH8A stick shift for Gran Turismo 7. Worth it?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
I don't know which one that is.
I still need to buy my actual stick shift. I've just been using the paddles. The paddle. flippers.
I have one, and I never used it because I'm just like struggling enough with even with manual gears, using it with the paddles.
flippers.
That's enough. So unless I'd say if you're absolutely hardcore, but then also it's a question like not all a lot of the cars are automatic. Like if depends on what type of cars you like to drive.
They're pretty much all manual except for the electric ones.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Yeah.
I drive a stick shift in real life, and so like when I was getting the rig, I made sure to get a shifter because I was like, well, this is how I drive my Jeep. Obviously, this is how I'm going to drive. And no, there's so much shit to worry about in Gran Turismo, including I feel like it's one of those things where you have 30 training wheels on at once, and you slowly remove ones here and there. It's like you figure out where the automatic braking is, you turn that off. Assisted steering, you turn that off. The lines on the road, you slowly turn that off, and eventually you get over to stick shift rather than automatic. And I just feel like I'm not really there. But that is how I drive in real life. So I figured it would be a natural transition for me, and I'll get there one
Driving
day.
a race car is a little bit different than driving a whatever 10-year-old Jeep.
10-year-old. Oh, you are in fantasy land, my friend.
I was being nice.
Jeep is 27 years old.
But, I was gonna say undead Jeep, but
No, legit
I
27 years old, man.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The part I struggle with most on GT7 with removing is the brake lines, and it is just the simple fact that in a game like that, you don't feel the G-force is slowing down. Like the closer you get to simulation, the even more difficult it is to get over the fact that you don't feel the braking on the corner of am I slowing down enough? I mean, I get it. If you practice enough, you eventually get the hang of it. But that's just, as soon as I took the braking lines off, I was going into every wall.
you can turn on the thing if you want some kind of assist, but not something as immersion braking like that. Just turn on. There's a little brake. It'll tell you. It'll pop up in little letters and say brake, 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 brake.
Okay, that's cool.
A little bit better.
Oh, good tip.
Less immersion braking.
Yeah.
Professor Lilith with the $5 tip says, our first randomized Sunday multiplayer survey is now posted. Choose among Beat Saber, Operation Serpents, and Vegas Infinite. Yes, you read that right. So every Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, we get together over on Discord and we play some multiplayer games on PSVR2. And this is, you get to vote. So go vote which game you want everybody to play this Sunday. Beat Saber, Operation Serpents, or Vegas Infinite. I have not played PokerStars VR in fucking forever. I feel like I played it a lot during the week that it came out, and then that was it. But I would love to get back in there.
Have they fixed the hats yet? That when you wear a hat, the hair's not sticking through it, and stuff. That was immersion breaking for me.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Beat Saber, I've not actually been on Beat Saber since the last DLC, which I've been hearing great things about. It has Eminem on it, and was it the hip hop one?
Yeah,
probably.
dude, I can't believe how much I've fallen off of Beat Saber. Like,
I know the amount they add. I think that and the Rolling Stones are the two DLCs I've not bought. So yeah, God, they keep adding it, and they have just announced that. I want to make sure I'm getting this right, but I think that they're stopping Quest support for the original Quest 1 because I think the way they worded it was
because no one's
so
fucking playing a Quest 1 anymore. Is that how they worded it?
Well, so 3 days ago they said, "Dear players, to focus on our development efforts on our next projects within Beat Saber, we will no longer support MetaQuest 1 as of November 2nd."
I'm surprised they supported it this long.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what's coming next. I mean, they teased the progression system about 2 years ago now. And it's killing me. It's killing me.
No, that is interesting that they're finally dropping support. I mean, like a bunch of games that are coming soon to Quest 3 are not supporting Quest 2, right? So like they held on to Quest 1 support way longer than I think anyone expected them to. Also, they're owned by Meta, so that makes a lot of sense.
And I do think it says a lot to the fact that Beat Saber is in itself quite a simple game, but it goes to show how complex is probably not the right word, but how sophisticated the environments are now. Because I remember there was that moment where they swapped the way that the lighting and the environments reacted, whereas it was just there was just different scenes the lights did throughout the song. And then I think by the fourth OST, it was actually no, they actually react to the music in a more specific way, dynamic way. And obviously they've had the new mechanics in the game and things like that. So but yeah, I need to get back to Beat Saber. I've not played it for a while.
I feel like. Hold on a second. I just want to make sure that there's a 2 JPEG.
Do you feel like?
Yeah, I was trying to think of the song.
It's the exact same tip, right? Just want to make sure. JPEG screwing with my head. This is how it happens.
Yeah, I love Beat Saber, but I mean, 6 years ago it came out. I'm good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know how many hours. I've got hundreds of hours in that game. With Beat Saber, I started and I played on normal for a very long time, and I was like, oh man, if I can ever play this game on hard, I'm gonna be real proud of myself. And then one day I was able to play on hard and was like, how the fuck did I ever play on normal? Like hard is not that difficult. And then I was slowly ramping up and even did the live streams where I was practicing, and I called the whole segment Beat Saber Academy, where I was like learning to get better at Beat Saber and just practice. And I was so proud of myself when I finally completed a good part of the catalog on Expert Plus. I'm sure you can guess the ones I didn't complete on Expert Plus, but I platinumed the game and spent hundreds of hours in it and felt like I got really good at it. And I guess at that point I was like, all right, well, I need another trophy list or something to get me back in there, because the DLC isn't cutting it. Pun intended. Bogey Cat Productions with the 5 quid says, I think Wanderer Fragments of Fate has the potential to be the best VR game ever made. I mean, the PSVR 1 version is one of the greatest VR games now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Goes without saying, really.
Goes without saying. But yet, we said it. All right, guys. According to our run of show, it's time to talk about a Sony showcase. There's been numerous reports, numerous rumors that there will be a PlayStation showcase sometime this month. Let's start at the top of this. Do you guys believe these rumors? Is it time for one?
It's definitely time for one. Sure, why not?
Okay. Miles, you believe it? Is it happening?
Oh man, I just don't know anymore. I feel like with all the Xbox stuff this week, PlayStation, all right, we don't have to do it now for the rest of the year.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing is I'm sure a lot of the times rumors are can be accurate, but things can always change. So even if rumors are true, it could change, on a whim like that. So,
For sure.
But I do expect one within the next month or two at least. Yeah.
Yeah, some kind of showcase or state of play. Because I mean, I mentioned, but the last state of play was the first state of play. I thought they've nailed the format. It felt significant. Didn't feel like a showcase. It still felt different, but it just didn't feel like we're just throwing a load of trailers up. It felt like a show with like some exciting announcements to make. So yeah, there must be something coming.
The last showcase that we saw, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it was a lot of CGI trailers. It was a lot of teasers more than anything else. It was just like revealing, hey, this game's in the works, but not really showing any gameplay. It felt like they were doing a showcase last time because they hadn't done a showcase in a while, right? But they didn't actually have, it didn't feel like it was time.
The showcase, yeah.
Right. So before we were like, oh, it's definitely time. But then seeing what they had to show, it didn't feel like it was time. It didn't feel like they had enough or that anything was far enough in development to really show shit off. And so here we are, I think almost a year. I don't even know. I can't keep track of when shit happens, but I feel like it's been long enough and it is definitely time. And so these rumors persist. I am inclined to believe them. And I do think that a showcase is coming this month. And now it's time to say what we think we could possibly see in a showcase. What games do we expect to see? Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, final thing on that is the flip side of what I was joking about earlier of like with Xbox, messing up, they can sort of sit back. No, the real approach is this is the time to strike because Xbox have got one of their first party games coming out in a couple of weeks.
Hellblade.
Senua's Sacrifice. What's it called? Hellblade 2, yeah. Which kind of feels very overshadowed now with all this terrible news that's been coming out. So, like, if Sony comes out swinging and goes, nope, these are all the first party things we've got. We're really, committed to all of our devices, whether it's the Portal, it's all our,
PSVR2.
Yeah, the PSVR2. Oh, yeah, they have PSVR2 as well. Forget that. I mean, you wouldn't know, but they do. Well, they do have that.
See, the thing is, it's like Sony hasn't responded to any of the negativity out there, right? There's been so many different articles written about them, halting production or slowing production or whatever, and just all the reports. The BitPlanet studio guy went out there on Reddit and said, "I heard from deep within Sony. Oh, I'm fucking not a crook, you fucking liar." Sorry, get angry.
Wow.
Yeah, he said all sorts of weird, and he said it in a Richard Nixon voice. And he went, "Oh, I'm not a crook."
I didn't see that.
No, I'm just kidding. No, but
that guy is definitely 100% full of shit.
He's definitely full of. He's definitely full of shit.
I love Ultra Wings 2. It's a great game. Came out a little bit too late, but. I do love that game, but yeah, I mean, definitely from speaking with developers and stuff like anybody that says Sony has abandoned PSVR2 is 100% full of shit, and you can tell them they're full of shit to their face.
Because AJ told you so.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. No, and I'm 100% being serious though. Like Sony have not at this time, they have 100% not abandoned PSVR2. That is a straight up bullshit thing to say. Like that is factually incorrect is what I'm trying to tell you.
I laughed when I saw that. I was like, this is fucking bullshit. Like somebody's got a beef with Sony and they're like, oh, fucking come on.
now a year or two from now, PSVR2 still not doing so hot.
Maybe, yeah.
Things could change. At this moment, anybody that says that's full of shit.
Right.
These impressions are great.
Great dancing.
Who's not full of shit?
I'm not a crook.
We're not full of shit.
I don't know what I was saying.
Madison VR.
Yeah. John Schultz in the chat says the Bloomberg guy keeps lying and people believe it even after Sony corrected them.
Yeah, I mean Sony corrected them twice. They didn't correct them a third time. So look.
They never issued a retraction either, which is the crazy part. Bloomberg never issues retractions. It's like, so they just keep lying. They just keep engaging in the clickbait. And then, so the only thing Sony can do at this point is to just prove everybody wrong by showing off some fucking games and being like, look at what we funded. Look at what we've got happening internally. And basically just keep including PSVR 2 in the state of plays, in the showcases. And that's why we're having this discussion right now. If there's a showcase this month, what do you guys expect to be there, PSVR 2 wise? I'm not a crook.
PSVR 2 games?
Astrobot.
So this is the thing, is that I don't think really honestly, I don't think that Sony has a lot of like first party stuff in the works, because if you look at them, like they're in like the whole gaming landscape is changing. Sony's entire structure is changing. They're restructuring entirely. There was rumors about like there was stuff about like the closure of London studio. A lot of people associate them with VR, but they were not, from what we can tell, they were not even working on a VR game. Everything was heavily rumored or hinted at that they were working on a live service game. There was also Firesprite, that they were working on a live service Twisted Metal game. I don't think either one of these studios, even though they're well known for being VR, I don't think either one of them was developing any of these for VR at all. I also, like I said, don't think that Sony is developing like really any like first party, huge AAA first party stuff, except for maybe one game. I think that there's one chance that we get a big, impactful Sony first party title, and it is the hero that we need. And I think if there's any Sony first party title, it is indeed what Mr. Miles just said, and that is Astrobot, man. We need Astrobot. We need our little hero more than ever, and this would be a great place to show it.
Agreed. Do we think it's going to be a hybrid, isn't it? It's going to be a hybrid game.
I mean, there's so many things that could happen. Honestly, it could even be announced without any VR. I mean, it's heartbreaking.
Well, that's what I mean. I think it's either going to be flat or hybrid. I don't think it would be solely VR, just because of the launch, which obviously it would be a shame.
Yeah, they get a lot of backlash. Could be a remaster of the first thing,
which I would love.
Yeah, I do think this is honestly like, this is setting ourselves up for disappointment, though. This is just like the thing that we want most, probably. I don't even think Astro would really like make headsets fly off the shelves, but it would send a very positive message to us, to the rest of the PSVR2 community or VR community, and to everybody that's been doubting them, saying that they don't support PSVR2 enough. This would be a pretty big deal. That being said, I do think they're 100% going to have some sort of PSVR2 announcements here. 100%.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. And the whole Astrobot, whether it's going to be hybrid or not, it's amazing how that sort of kind of bothers me in a way that it didn't bother me before. Like once upon a time, I was like, oh, of course, like hybrid is sort of Sony's model for VR moving forward this generation. Like this is the hybrid generation of VR, where it doesn't make any sense to develop a lot of like high, AAA stuff from the ground up for VR because you're not going to make your money back. So make it for the flat screen too. But the thing is that Astrobot or Astro's first VR game, I don't know why that was so hard to get out, was so designed specifically for VR, right? Like the dual sense controller, the DualShock 4 with the light tracking on it, like that's how you did stuff in first person to help Astro out. And there was, the whole thing just felt like it was designed for VR because it was. And so I'm wondering if Astro loses some of that magic if it becomes a hybrid, if you have to scale things back, scale interactions back for the person playing on the couch with a DualSense controller who's not in VR. And so there's part of me that's like feeling a little selfish for even saying this, because we just want another Astrobot game no matter what, whether it's hybrid or VR only. But I feel like we're going to miss something. I feel like there's going to be something magical that gets left out if it's a hybrid game. I hope that that's not the case, and that they can do. Obviously, Team Asobi is a very thoughtful studio, and they put a lot of love and care into the stuff that they put out there. As you can tell by playing Astrobot, it just feels great to play. It makes you smile to play, and I think that they're going to deliver on that no matter what. The question is like, will the VR elements be scaled back if we do get a hybrid game? And you know what? I guess I'll take that in order to get another game, but it would still kind of suck if they had to compromise.
Also, they're just brilliant. They're just brilliant developers. That is the sort of the way it's always been, which is, because I agree with you, the thought of any of these games they've done so far being hybrid, it'd be missing without the other. But at the same time, when they've made these games, they've literally expanded my perception of what is possible in gaming and with technology. Like, they've always been, this is what can happen. And if hybrid is the future of VR, then maybe this could be another watershed moment where they're like, no, this is possible, what can be done with hybrid, and they will have mechanics in it that we didn't even think were possible. With, like, you could play it this way in flat screen, and if you play it in VR, it's this way, and it's actually like a different sort of, literally a different perspective. But it's not just like it's been ported to VR. There's actually something different there. But because I share those concerns, but I also know that there are people that, you know, at the forefront, they're there to showcase the technology, and maybe this could be, you know, the first hybrid game that really sets it apart from previous attempts.
With VR still being, you know, it's still kind of in its infancy, right? Like it hasn't, you know, it's we're not to VR 5.0 yet.
We're barely in the NES years.
Yeah, I think the hybrid approach is the best way to kind of bridge that gap. If you look at the recent announcement of the Batman game for the Quest 3, the amount of backlash that got. I mean, yeah, there was like, you know, I saw some of our buddies like Nathan and stuff posting on Twitter of like the thumbs up, thumbs down, had like 27 thumbs up, 27,000 thumbs up, which is good. But then you look at the thumbs down and it was 97,000. We're still in this phase of VR trying to break through to kind of like, you know, the casual gamers, the mainstream gamers.
AJ, why do you think that is? Why so many dislikes?
Because it's a VR only game. I mean, yes, some of that's compounded with, there not being a good Batman game in a while. The Suicide Squad game allegedly was not very good. I don't know. I didn't play it myself. And so people have been longing for a good Batman game for a long time. Now it's in VR. Sony has been in that situation before where they announce stuff, they go balls to the wall, all in with VR, and they got tons of backlash for it because people that aren't interested in VR. I feel like that's why a solution like this for something like Astrobot would be good, because you get the flat gamers excited, and you don't piss them off. And then also, you know, you give some hope to the VR audience as well. So I really think it's a great way to kind of bridge that gap and satisfy both sides here. So kind of please everybody all at once. Because if they do it just VR only, that's probably going to get some backlash for a lot of the people that bought PS5s and played Astro's Playroom and have been anticipating a new flat game. So
wait, and to address those people real quick, AJ, I'd like to say, fuck you guys. Astro was ours first.
Yeah, damn right he was.
I don't care if you want a flat screen game. You can have a flat screen game, but you'll have to wait as long as we waited for a second VR game. It's only fair.
Yeah, and Amber Santana says we need exclusive games. You know,
yeah.
The truth is that exclusives do sell too. Like whether you're for exclusives or against them, I think we can all agree that exclusives do sell headsets, especially with the kind of like mentality that, you know, everybody is at right now, what they're kind of been accustomed to for the last decade. So it's not really people's fault that they've come to expect exclusives, even though there are like advantages to like opening that up and being a little bit more open-minded and not so, you know, quick. There's at the end of the day, they do just like move units and sell. So it is important for that too. But if you don't want to get your hopes up too high, I do think that there could be potentially be some other announcements here. Some that I'd really like to see.
I've got one.
What's that, Brian? Is it going to happen, Brian? Are we going to finally see?
Pick me.
This one. You on the left.
You pointed right.
You on the left.
Me? Oh, sweet. I think, okay, listen, if you want to get your hopes up, I'm going to get your hopes up, because here's what I think is going to happen. We heard in like December or January or something along those lines from Gaijin Entertainment that Aces of Thunder was wrapping up development, is essentially done. They were telling us that, you know, they were showing us all the different VRAF mechanics it has, you know, the things that in the cockpit you can grab, windows you can open and shit like that, right? And then on top of that, they confirmed that it's going to be running at 90 native. Awesome. where the fuck is it? It is May. We are almost halfway through May. This game was supposedly done almost 5 months ago. So my pie in the sky prediction is that they say Aces of Thunder available now on PSVR2. They show it off for the first time in months and months and months, and they say available now. Because a showcase is always a little bit better when they have one of those.
Well, the other thing too is that Aces of Thunder has a lot of people's attention. I mean, people are asking for exclusives, right? Well, Aces of Thunder is, from what it seems, they said the game is specifically built for PlayStation VR2. So there's your exclusive right there. Not only that, that trailer has almost 1 million views on YouTube. There's a lot of interest. That clearly has a lot of interest. People are very interested in that, especially, you know, in with the Ace Combat not anywhere to be seen at the moment, until Ace Combat 8 comes out. But yeah, people are longing for a game like Aces of Thunder. That would definitely get some people's attention.
Miles, give me a prediction, Miles. Something that makes sense for a showcase happening this month.
Let me cross all this shit off. Oh man, I mean, Astrobot just feels like, I say safe, but it's not. Nothing. This is the thing. It's nothing safe, right?
Nothing safe.
But like, it does feel like something that it's at the right rhythm. It's been long enough. We're kind of mid-cycle. People have been asking since the Astrobot game came out on PS5, is there going to be a full-fledged game? And obviously the VR community have been wanting even just the one from PSVR to come across. This isn't going to be a specific game, but in terms of an announcement they could make, I feel like this would be the time to announce that a first-party game, or actually not even first-party, but something that PlayStation has definitely had connections with, like a big game title, is getting a VR version.
Like a big third-party game, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's this whole thing of not this, but like if they just said Death Stranding, like they have Hideo Kojima comes back and is like, you know, you're now going to be able to play. You know, it was done with the Gorilla engine, or sorry, not the Gorilla's engine, which was was it the Decima engine?
Yep,
I think it was called. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I just wonder if something like that could happen.
Wouldn't think. I mean, I could see a third party like AAA studio or big studio. I just don't see that happening with the state of everything. Sure. And with everything that's going on right now, we got to think a little bit, you know, smaller right now.
I do think that there is a chance that there's going to be a pre-existing game of any scale that is getting a VR version.
Very possible. I mean, we've already had Metro. We've had Metro announced, you know, that's Zombie true. Army VR. These are big IPs that are coming. So we do have these in the pipeline already. But
they're getting built from they're being made as VR games, aren't they? I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Whereas I'm just saying that there might be a game that has been a flat screen game that is getting a VR port. Like there's this feeling, the pressure you're seeing with, you know, whether it's stuff like Flat to VR or the Unreal VR injection.
Nice plug.
Yeah, thank you. or all of them is naturally putting pressure. Like you can literally see the number of players that are playing like Returnal VR. And I'm not here to say so Returnal VR is going to be announced, but Sony is very aware of the appetite, and they are probably looking at like the games that have been played. And again, we're moving into the Unreal Engine 5, where the stage where Unreal Engine 5 is being used more and more. So even if they didn't announce the game was coming out and just said we've been exploring these options, here are a couple of like like demos or some insights. Here they literally could do a sort of a sizzle reel of just different PlayStation experiences in VR going, this is things we're exploring. Like they don't even have to announce anything, but just to say, like, basically making a statement that we are investing in this technology. Like you look at what Sony have been investing in with Epic Games and looking towards the metaverse. That is stuff that has been like, they've been literally funneling serious amounts of money buying stakes in Epic Games. We haven't really heard a lot about that for a while. The recent GDC Unreal did an amazing presentation looking at some of their games and the technologies that are happening with Fortnite and the engine there. So there is this real feeling of interest in the technology side of gaming, like what is actually possible. And let's not forget the PlayStation Pro. PS5 Pro has been speculated coming at the end of the year. If that is something that comes up, that would also tie in. How do you sell it? You need to show people what is possible on this console. And so they might say, these are some of the worlds that we're going to be able to do in VR. So I've basically given a really long non-answer, but I've just given a lot of nice thoughts to think about, because I genuinely have no idea. And as you say, AJ, I haven't really got my hopes up for anything, just because I'm exhausted from hoping anything. Like, just not hope anything and then be pleasantly surprised when stuff gets announced.
Well, it's kind of, it's kind of analyzing everything that's going on, right? Like, a lot of people have these super high expectations, and that's because the last 10 years or something, like, it's felt like it's been building up to something, and like, it's just, the reality is where we're at right now, what all the stuff happening behind the scenes, it's just not looking like that right now. There's a lot of changes going on, like I said, with Sony, with the gaming landscape. They're scrapping first-party AAA projects behind the scenes, like scrapping them. They're closing studios. So it's not that it's a horrible thing or bad thing that we're not, getting the most amazing announcements. Like, but I think you are setting yourself up for major disappointment if you do that. That being said, like we said, we 100% know that Sony is still supporting PSVR2, and so there is going to be something here. And I just hope that it is something that is exciting, is big enough to get people's attention, and it would be awesome to have some. They announce a third party game, and then it's like, oh, also you can play this in VR. That would be big. A flat to VR game. Got you back, Miles. A flat to VR game or something would definitely get people's attention. Aces of Thunders, Astrobot, but we have to kind of manage our expectations here, and it could be something just completely unexpected, something maybe smaller, but could still be really awesome as well.
Shades of Gray Matter in the chat says it would be a great time to reveal either Behemoth or Alien Rogue Incursion gameplay. These are two games that have been announced forever ago, and we haven't seen any actual gameplay. It's just CGI for Behemoth, and we haven't even seen CGI for Alien Rogue Incursion.
Did Rogue Incursion get a date, or is this year? Is it
just this year?
Not even that. This year.
Yeah, and so listen, it'd be really interesting. The fact we were supposed to see more of Alien Rogue Incursion like a year ago, maybe longer ago than that. It seems like it's strange for Servios to have not revealed gameplay yet, right? If it's coming out later this year. It's cool that they did a teaser first just to reveal the name, what platforms it's coming out on, a release window. Fine, I'm totally down with that. But the fact is that like you don't do that without plans to then reveal the actual gameplay soon after, right? And so
I could just imagine Servius now going, "Oh shit! Now we've got to make a game."
They spent 2 years making a teaser.
You put full this year. What the fuck, man? We haven't even started.
It does kind of feel like that's what happened with Behemoth, doesn't it? They're like 2023. Yeah,
man.
So I mean, I just feel like it's kind of the perfect time to be like, hey, we kind of re-announced our game for Alien Rogue Incursion. We re-announced our game for anyone who wasn't paying attention and wasn't, patiently waiting for information on this. Now they know it exists. And then a couple weeks later, here we're gonna actually do a real full gameplay reveal during a PlayStation showcase, right? I mean, there are. I don't think that many movie franchises that would get people excited to play a VR game, but I do think Alien is one of them. So I think this would be a perfect choice for a showcase.
And then it's a cartoon alien game made for kids.
Ghostbusters. Yeah. What about Behemoth? Is it time for that? I mean, I feel like it's been time for that for a year.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool to see like, some actual gameplay footage of it. Especially running
doesn't
on.
it feel like it's not real? Right? Is there a part of you
I'm sure
that's like me where it's like I can't even imagine getting to see gameplay footage of Behemoth because for a year plus this is what we've seen.
Listen, Brian, Skydance Interactive gets the benefit of the doubt
because of Arashi. Is that it? Because of Arashi? Is that why they get a pass?
They brought us one of the greatest VR games to date, and they'll have my faith and my support until they prove me wrong. Yes, Arashi was I mean, it wasn't but that wasn't originally developed by them. They just ported it, and it had some issues, but then but it was initially just, whatever.
Yep.
Don't bring it up. But
Arashi sucks.
But it is not aged
the
well.
word on the street is, from what I've seen, is it's actually a Connect free game. So yeah. So,
but no. So wait. So are you understanding where I'm coming from here? Where I'm saying yes, of course, Behemoth is real, and yes, of course, Skydance is probably going to kill it. But the fact is like I can't even picture actual real footage because like it's almost like whatever's in my head is too good to be true. And so I just hope they can deliver on.
They'll show it closer to release. They'll show it within 3-4 months of release.
You're not answering my question.
It's real, Brian.
Doesn't it?
No, I don't agree with you.
But doesn't it feel like it can't be real because of the scope that the CGI trailers are showing? It's like it feels like it can't be real. Yes, I know it's a real game. Yes, I know it's coming out supposedly later this year. But it just doesn't feel real. Dan's in the chat, a member of Skydance team. He says, "I'm not real." Wonderful.
I knew
you heard it here first.
Don't prove Brian right.
He's a hologram.
Listen,
he's a hologram.
Maybe what I'm doing is saying like I'm so excited for this game that like that my brain can't even process that I'm actually going to get to play it later this year. But like I don't know, man. Like I just can't wait to see what actual gameplay footage of Behemoth looks like.
I'm going to be greedy here and say that, I already know that's coming. I already expect that to be real good. I want to be surprised by something new. I'm getting greedy here.
Okay. That works.
I want Capcom to go on screen and announce Dino Crisis VR.
Hell yeah.
The remake. Oh, that would be so good. Oh, that'd be amazing. That'd be amazing.
Oh my goodness. Let's have a couple more tips and then we'll talk about what else other games are coming later in the year. Also, I want you guys to think about this while I'm reading some tips. Does it make sense for Sony to talk about PC compatibility for PSVR2 at a showcase? We're going to get back to that, though. I just wanted to put it in your brain for a second. Rachel, the janky game cat, with the $5. Sorry to hear about your jank. Says, any thoughts on doing a Madison spoiler cast / post-game therapy discussion? Dude, I would... AJ and I, back after RE4 came out, like literally, I think it was the week after RE4 came out, did a spoiler cast on GAMESCAST, and we were like, no one's going to fucking watch this. There hasn't been enough time. And it's actually one of the more viewed GAMESCASTs that we've had. And whether it got the views or it didn't get the views, as you guys know, I probably don't care about that for the most part. It was a real lot of fun to do that. And so I would be down with whatever co-hosts are available to do a special episode of GAMESCAST where it is literally a spoiler cast and a recap, analysis of story, like just everything. And I can chop up different pieces of footage to be playing just like I did with RE4. I would love to do that. So let me know in the chat if that's something you guys want to see or not.
I guess I got to finish it.
Yeah. Get on that shit. Yep.
Oh, God.
Oh, look who's all stretching out. You all stretching out? You all stretching out? Oh.
Yeah, Miles and I actually I've spoken with both Brian and Miles about the game a little bit, and yeah, it was really cool to have those discussions with you guys because, like Miles, you said we have these completely different perspectives.
Hell yeah.
And you said stuff that made my brain go, oh, yeah, like that is something that you can really kind of like explore more and discuss. And then I talked to Brian and I was like, holy shit, like I didn't think about that. Like that's nuts. So and there's, I've got my own reasons for loving the story of the game. I think it's a wonderful story. And would absolutely love to talk about like a spoiler cast of the whole game.
Cool.
Hand on heart, I genuinely want to complete the game, but also hand on heart, I hope my heart doesn't stop. Hand on heart, my heart can't cope. I am planning on doing some more live streams of it. I don't know, man. It's going to be a really. I mean, I just know it's going to get way worse, and it's going to be really, really tough. But I don't.
So to answer your question, Rachel, yes, we do have thoughts on that, and I'd like to do it soon. So if you guys or Miles, if you want to wrap that shit up, and then we can do a spoiler cast next week or the week after, I would love to do it. Snafu with $5 says, for my birthday. Oh, I feel like yep, and happy birthday. I had to read through the tip to find out if that's actually what you were saying. Snafu with the $5 tip says, for my birthday, I finally decided to buy Here They Lie as a gift to myself.
Nice.
Out at an event, but can't wait to finally play it later tonight. Meow right back at you, Snafu. That is awesome. Something about people still having their PSVR 1 still hooked up and having like that library of games still accessible to them makes me very, very happy. Because for me, I've unplugged just enough stuff, and when my kitchen got redone, I had to tear down like my. I had a little setup where the camera would was kind of mounted against my kitchen wall, so that like I could see my full range of movement, and I just don't have all that stuff set up. It wouldn't take very long to do. Yeah,
Brian, what if? Let's just dream for a moment. What if Sony announced at a showcase that X number of PSVR titles are getting ported to PSVR2? They've been working behind the scenes. They're bringing them forward.
PSVR 1 titles?
Yeah, they said Blood and Truth, or just a list of 10 games.
That'd be great.
That'd be great. Amazing.
I could see them doing maybe Astrobot, but as far as other games are concerned, I don't know. I kind of feel like Jim Ryan really fucked up on that one. And before he left, he kind of destroyed. Instead of doing that like he should have done, he had fucking London Studio working on a live service game for some reason because he's an idiot. And now he's gone. Didn't even last one gen. Sorry. You mentioned Jim Ryan to me, and I get angry. I fucking hate that dude.
I didn't say Jim Ryan. That's how much is in your head.
Living rent-free.
But to be fair, AJ, as I was talking about it, I was about to say Jim Ryan. So he's living rent-free in all of our heads.
I think I was looking at I was reading something. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I was thinking about Jim Ryan as well. This is what he's done to us.
Stevie Dan 1969 with the 2 quid says VR Rock lenses arrived. Cheers, AJ, for the discount. AJ, do you know your discount code off the top of your head for VR Rock lenses?
Oh yeah, it's vr-rock.com, and then you can use the code AJPSVR. And I actually just ordered some PSVR 1 lenses from them, and because after using the lenses, I can't not use them now. I went to you got to imagine the jump in resolution going from PSVR 2 with lenses to PSVR 1 without it. It's like, oh, dude, it's rough. It was rough. So I actually ordered some. But yeah, I did actually ask them about if they had, I'd been promising a lot of the community members that I would ask them about potential Mura, anti-Mura thing. And Mura's really not as big of an issue as it was at launch, but it's still there sometimes from time to time. That is something that they actually looked into, but the only solution they found really was it would darken the lenses a lot. So they chose not to stick with it. But they're going to keep kind of experimenting to see if there is some kind of solution with that. Because I think if there was something that is even possible, that would be, I feel like you'd be the number one lens seller easily. But yeah.
I do agree with you, though. It does seem like Mars doesn't seem to be a problem like it used to be. it's like when I
Not
actually
ever since you convinced every single dev to make 90 native resolution and use eye track foveated rendering,
I mean,
it has
yeah.
not been as much of an issue.
It does seem like it was more of an issue in games that ran at 120 reprojected. 90 native is we got some super blacks, and there's no. I mean, I'm just I think in Madison the only time I ever noticed it, despite the fact that game was incredibly dark, right? You'd just be staring into a black abyss sometimes and like taking a photograph to see what was down that hallway. Never noticed Mara except for when the emergency red lights came on, and I was like, oh, there's Mara, and like that's literally for, I don't know, 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I did see like a little bit, not much though. But even when I did, it didn't really bother me that much. But yeah,
okay.
I hope that there is eventually a solution.
Random Toxie, the Eraserhead Baby Gamecat, in the chat says Sony mic drop $299. Now here, let's get back to this showcase, and let's get back to PSVR support, and let's talk about a potential price drop. $300 is an insane price for PSVR2, right? I don't think they actually need to go that low. I think they can start. I don't know if they would start with the $50 price drop or $150 price drop. Maybe they'd go $450, maybe they'd go $400. I think $300 would make it sound like we're clearing out. We're trying to get rid of all of our stock, right? So I think $400 actually is a smarter way to go, especially because PSVR support is on the way. And so when we have a whole new user base, you maybe don't want to drop the price right before you introduce it to a whole new user base. You introduce it at the $500 price tag, and then you see how it sells, and then you reduce the price after that, right? You want to get the $500 from the PC gamers just like you got it from the PS5 gamers, correct?
Sort of. I think when you factor in the cost of PS5 and having to get one of those, I think you have to go lower than 500. Absolutely. There are many reasons to believe that, it is worth the full price. I am very happy with mine, having paid full price. But if you want to move these things, if you want to sell these things, you're going to have to drop it. And I do think the combination of PC support, some good solid game announcements and a price drop, I think if you've got one more shot at this thing, that's a good one last shot.
Yeah, I mean it's not just a 1-2 punch; that's a 1-2-3 punch, right? Yeah, like that's a TKO right there. Mm-hmm. You weren't expecting sports terminology on today's show.
No,
fucking
whatever. That's your video game arcade fighting reference.
Yeah,
nothing sports about that.
I played Accolade's TKO on Commodore 64. That's where I learned what a TKO was because I played it in a video game.
Sports through video games.
However, Fight Night Round 3 is still one of my favorite PS3 games ever. It was great. Yep. So yeah, I mean, if they really, really, really want PSVR2 to succeed and they really want to give it everything that they got, then yeah, price drop, the announcement of finally PC support, and then a couple big game announcements. Do you think they'll talk about PC compatibility at the showcase, however, or is that something more reserved for a PlayStation blog post?
I mean, they don't really talk about stuff coming to PC. I think, have they ever done a PC launch trailer for like Horizon or Last of Us on a showcase or state of play? I don't think so.
I feel like they've been talking about it more freely lately.
They are moving in that direction. The only context I can imagine them doing it is kind of going back to what I was saying earlier about them doing a piece on like making a statement of like, we're looking at how to push the medium forward, like showing examples and saying we've been looking at, how to bring it to PC, or, it'd be like a throwaway term or something, kind of like they did on the blog post. It was kind of a throwaway, like, oh, and we're looking at PC as well, but just kind of a thought piece about, we believe in VR. They will show us some new games, but also saying we've still got a long way to go. I can't imagine they're going to sort of say, hey, PC, doing a piece saying, hey, PC gamers, we want to serve you as well. They've always used these to talk about PlayStation console owners and people that are within that ecosystem.
Definitely going to want to appeal to PlayStation gamers first, but I feel like you could get away with PSVR2 having PC support. I do feel like that is something you get away with on the big stage because VR is kind of a different beast.
Grandpa's Barbecue or Gamecat with the Australian $5 tip says, do you think they'll announce Resident Evil 9 with VR on release day? Now, there's been a lot of talk about Resident Evil 9 in the last, week or two, because Dusk Golem has been pretty active on Twitter. And Dusk Golem, if you're not familiar, is probably the most reliable Resident Evil leaker that we know of. And he's been active
100%.
for a long time. He clearly knows people at Konami. He clearly knows people at Capcom. And so when he talks about Resident Evil or Silent Hill, people tend to sit up and pay attention, and for good reason. So word on the street is that Resident Evil 9 will be open world, take place on an island, probably have access to the entire island, thus the open world. Also, it's coming in January, I believe is the rumor. So January is not that far away, right? I mean, it's literally 8 months from now.
It seems it seems a little too soon for.
Well, because we just got Village a year ago. But how long had Village been out prior to
we got
that?
4 in December as well.
That's true. It does feel a little soon.
And 4 came out last year as well. So props to Capcom if they can handle that kind of output. Like that's like some Insomniac numbers there, but
yeah.
But I don't know. Is it supposed to be released in January or announced in January? I thought it was announced.
Oh, yeah. Somebody help me out.
I could be wrong.
What's the truth here? I'm going to look it up.
It's also worth noting that the developers at Capcom mentioned how when developing VR for Resident Evil 4, some of the choices they made were because of constraints in timing. Now, we would assume that would be something maybe to do with like the funds they were given, but it could also have been because they were like, no, we've got this amount of time because then we need to allocate our resources to the next project. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen then, but I do feel like the next game, it would make sense for it to be announced as, if Sony want to test the waters with different ways of distributing their content, they've kind of done it 2 ways. They did Village, where it came out just like it was announced, with launch of PSVR2, we're doing a VR version of this game. They've also done Resident Evil 4, where the remake was announced and then the VR is in development, so teasing that. So then maybe, they'd say, hey, we've worked really well together. Let's do a day-and-day launch on VR and flat screen and see how it works. The counter argument to that, though, is you get people double dipping if you spread them out. You get people that play the flat screen game and then return to it when the VR version. Obviously, there are a lot of us VR gamers that would go, like us, don't play the flat screen because we're going to wait for the VR version. But it also adds to the marketing beats as well, where you've then got you've got 2 launches of the same game. So you've got people talking about it and generating hype 2 times. I know there was a lot of people that went back to playing Resident Evil 4 Remake on the flat screen when everyone was talking about the VR one because they didn't have VR and weren't going to get one. So there are disadvantages to that, but I think it'd be an interesting exercise.
Big disadvantages, unfortunately, because we saw the way people reacted to Gran Turismo 7 and Resident Evil Village.
These are just flat screen games.
We played these a year ago, I already played these. I'm done with them. Right. I think you got to launch the day and date with VR support to really have the biggest impact. It sounds crazy to me because to me, it was such a big deal. I'd be willing to, we waited years just to experience it in VR for the first time. But clearly, that's not the majority of people. Majority of people will play it, and by the time it comes out to VR, a lot of media outlets, game journalists, jokes will be like, we'll hardly even acknowledge its existence, despite it being a huge deal.
So I brought up the tweet, or one of the more recent tweets from Aesthetic Gamer, aka Dusk Golem. Says, I have good news / rumors to deliver on Resident Evil 9. The possible delay I had heard murmurs about can be pushed aside. RE9 should be revealed pretty soon and released next year. If what I had heard previously holds true, it should be January. It'll have had about 7 years in development.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So there must be a lot of teams working in tandem over at Capcom, because in the last 7 years, many Resident Evil games have come out. And so This is pretty cool. I guess the big question is, I mean, obviously the big question is, will there be VR support? And I fucking hope so. It'd be great to have it day and date. It'd be awesome. But I think the bigger question is it going to be first person or third person? When you look at Resident Evil games, do you look at 7 and 8 being the evolution of the series, of the franchise, or are we looking at 7 and 8 and going, they sort of sidestepped what they were doing in the franchise, and then they're going to have 9 will be a return to form?
They were definitely a sidestep, but they were also like the story of those were a huge sidestep, and a lot of fans of the original Resident Evil games would consider those different, like spin-offs almost. It worked great for VR, but I don't think those were not the like core that wasn't for like the core fans of Resident Evil. They like Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4, stuff like that.
And don't forget, in the promos also, that with the engine for the DLC of Resident Evil Village, they kept on talking about the engine and how they're able to switch between first and third person. There was that whole piece where they were just saying, we've got this so optimized now, we have that flexibility. Now, Resident Evil 4, there were things missing out of. Again, it's not saying that it's therefore a terrible game, but it was a reality. There were things in Resident Evil 4, the remake, the VR version, that were an issue because they were going from a third-person game. But it kind of feels like that it was a game they developed for third-person and then they did the VR thing. The question is 9 developed where they're saying, we are creating this where even on the flat screen, you can decide whether you want to play it in first or third person? That would be a cool thing for them to do.
Agreed.
We're going to give you options.
Agreed. But Capcom's the same company that made Dragon's Dogma 2, right? And wasn't that running at 30 native on consoles? Wasn't that like the big scandal? It was like, what the fuck? Why would we even buy this on consoles? 30 native. Why am I saying that? Well, it's 30 frames per second is not something that we consider acceptable on PlayStation 5, right? And so then now you take this whole thing into account where you're saying, okay, well, Resident Evil 9 is going to be open world, taking place on this gigantic island, have access to the whole thing. Are we now in a place where it's like, okay, maybe they're overstepping their reach on current gen consoles? Maybe, what if Resident Evil 9 comes out and it's runs at 30 frames per second on console? That would lead me to believe that there's no chance in hell we're getting VR support. If you can't even get the flat screen version up to 60, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
there's a lot of questions.
I'm definitely not gonna just assume it's VR. Absolutely not gonna assume that, but I hope it is.
All right, well, this was a nice sidestep conversation while we were, because I think Sony Showcase would be an amazing place to reveal the next Resident Evil game. However, now that we're beyond the Sony Showcase, what other games, just to kind of put a bookend to our conversation here, what other games do we expect to see from Sony or from other studios by the end of this year? What are we looking forward to for PSVR2? What does the future hold?
With the deep questions, man.
Yeah.
And we're talking about in addition to the ones that we've mentioned on the recent shows about all the release stuff, yeah.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. I mean, the title of this Gamescast. The title of this Gamescast is "What's Next for PSVR 2?" Right? Madison just came out. Stride Fate's coming out next week. Like, what does the future hold? We're saying, hey,
Zombie Army VR, Metro Awakening.
Yeah.
Metal Hellsinger VR, Arcanage, Behemoth, Wanderer, Fragments of Fate, PC support, Aces of Thunder. Did I get everything?
Are you like okay, time to wrap this shit up? Is that what we're doing here?
No, I'm just no. I mean, there's actually a lot of stuff I'm really looking forward to, but I think I'm ready to wait for this showcase and kind of wait for some new surprises from this showcase that's inevitable, and obviously the other surprises. There's tons of surprises that happen that are not a part of showcases. Metal Hellsinger was definitely a pleasant surprise. I think that game's going to be a really good fit for VR, and Just really looking forward to all the games, man. There's lots of good games. Keep them coming. I'll stay happy.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, even with that list of games, and you know, there's going to be lots of smaller games that come out during that period. I'm someone who is totally cool with there being sort of a slowdown with the pace of releases if they're stronger. There's a big conversation that's just been happening in the movie industry with Disney and Marvel, and they're finally coming forward and saying, you know what, we're going to do a maximum, I think it's like three or four shows a year and like 2 or 3 movies, because I'm not a massive Marvel follower, but when I was trying to keep on top of the movies and all the TV shows, it was like homework. I was like, I just can't keep up with this. And there was clearly an issue with quality. Like, the movies weren't the most terrible things, but they just weren't as exceptional. I think Marvel, the only movie they're putting out this year is Deadpool Wolverine, which is obviously super hyped. And like, I'm definitely going to go to the cinema to see it because it's the one movie, and I'm looking forward to having a good time. And that's kind of just how I feel with content overall, like fatigue with any medium. And with VR, like when we talk about earlier, Wanderer getting delayed, is it an issue? One of the reasons I'm totally fine with that is I want more time to spend on the games that I've already got. We're always just like, what games come out, we dive into it, right, I'm ready for the next thing. And I just kind of feel like it's creating an unsustainable runaway effect of just people. And I'm just talking generally, like we just expect things to come more and more. I'm actually happy to have a bit more breathing room and be like, you know what, this month, this is the game to look forward to most. Like, this is the top game. And among it, here are a few smaller games that are coming out as well that we can check out in the meantime and have conversations about. Like, I'm really happy with that. And so with the ones that we do know about, it seems like quite a good spread of games that are going to lead us right up until Christmas.
Yeah, even with just the ones we know about, never mind any new announcements. Like, we got a solid game, at least one major game coming every single month, it seems like.
Yeah.
Things that weren't mentioned, Firmament, I saw Awesome Tatum in the chat talking about that, the new Zion Worlds game. That's going to be, I think, amazing. Like, just, if nothing else, like a visual spectacle in the headset. Hopefully great puzzles and storytelling alongside of it, as they're known for. But also, like, Into the Darkness has been being teased for a really long time. Dude, Undead Citadel should have been out forever ago. I'm not saying that game's going to be great or anything, but like, it's a game that a lot of people are excited for, and it's time to get that shit out. Obviously, Arcanage, the Vitruvius guys have proven themselves. I don't want to say proven themselves in a way that like, oh, well, we know this game's going to be AAA quality, but they have proven that they just get better and better with each game. Yep. And all the previews I've seen for Arcanage, all the trailers I've seen for it, just look amazing. In knowing that they're giving us, that they were committed to making it look and play even better. With 90 frames native, it's just like they seem like they are really, really committed to doing what they do well with like the VRAF mechanics. So, I don't think we even mentioned Phasmophobia. Maybe you guys mentioned it, or when you rattled off a list of stuff. We
mentioned it earlier, but you're right. Hopefully. Do we know it's coming out this year? They haven't said. Have they given a date?
No. They went pretty quiet.
Definitely.
Right. Yeah. They went pretty quiet on it because they were working out some bugs. Because don't forget, it's not just the PSVR2 release. It's the console release. So it's the Xbox version, it's the flat screen PS5 version, it's the PSVR2 version. They've delayed all of those in order to work out the issues that they've got.
So, Halloween 2024.
I mean, at this point, like, delay October, for another 5 months. Yeah,
fall 2024.
I feel like Kinetic Games is the kind of studio that like doesn't care when they put the game out. Like, they'll put it out when it's ready, but then like they'll have a cool update around Halloween, right? Like, they're like, oh, here's a new map or a new item or whatever. So yeah, I think they could get away with releasing it in the middle of summer and then still have a cool, refresh relaunch around Halloween.
Numata is still to come out, isn't it?
Yeah. And Numata ended up just being a significantly bigger game than anybody, including I think the developer, expected, right? It's a game that looked as good as Village, but didn't seem like it had any mechanics actually in place, right? And he's like, oh, I'm going to add an inventory. I was like, literally adding an inventory to the game after it was supposed to come out, after like the projected launch time. So like Numata looks like a game that's just going to be awesome when it gets here. But if it doesn't come out till 2027, I don't care, man. Take your time with it. Make it good, right? But yeah, I'm looking forward to Numata.
And then on top of all of this, we also have DLC for existing games. The stuff that they've been adding to Stilt, the Fall Guys-esque levels, is super exciting. If they keep adding to it, that's going to just be one of my favorite games to play because it's just such an incredible game mode on their multiplayer. We've got Walkabout Mini Golf that just keeps putting out bangers. I've not played their latest Venice map, but they've got a Wallace and Gromit collaboration coming up, which is going to be huge. I think of even games that have been out since right from the beginning. You know, AJ mentioning GT7. There might have some more updates coming out later this year. But then think about games like Kayak VR that has got this unspecified multiplayer real-time mode, which is coming. They're just saying it's taking longer than expected. Like, there are going to be all these surprises with existing VR games that we have that are just going to come out with some modes or things that could pull us back. Breaches has had this new seasons mode added, which is absolutely amazing.
Also getting Behaptic support.
Yes. Yeah.
It'll be the first PSVR2 game to get Behaptic support.
So there's just, there's just so much. There's so much. So the games we know about, the games we don't know about, and all the DLCs that will come along the way. There's just so much. There's so much. So I'm feeling really good about the year. And we don't know what's going to be mentioned in the showcase, showcase, or during the summer of gaming as it is. So yeah, feeling good.
Feeling good. Yeah. I think it's going to be a great year for PSVR2. I really feel like by the end of 2024, no one out there is going to be like, oh, Sony dropped support. I really feel like by the end of this year, it's going to be a different story is going to be told. And it's about time. It's about time. Let's knock out a couple more tips and we can play some 20 questions, guys. We got High Phase. What up, High Phase? With the Canadian $50. Says Aces of Thunder will require solid VR legs. Do you think Sony intentionally waited for the PSVR2 to mature a bit before releasing these types of games, allowing people new to VR to get their legs? Love you all. I don't think so. I think there's a lot of reasons to delay games. I don't think that's one of the reasons. My bet is that a lot of people who picked up a PSVR2 are Quest veterans, are PSVR1 veterans, and these are people who played games like Ace Combat or even Project Wingman, months ago. So I don't think that's what would have them hold it back. I think when that game is ready, they will release it. But at this point, I feel like that game is ready, and that's why that's the one game in my head that's like going to be released during the Sony showcase. I don't know. That's just my opinion. You guys think that it's reasonable to think they would have held it back because to let people grow VR legs?
Not for that reason. No, it's just still in development. Sony is supportive of developers and stuff, and I've actually heard that they're a lot better than they used to be, especially towards the end of last generation. See, that's what happens when Jim Ryan leaves, guys. As soon as he leaves, I start hearing from all the developers like, "Hey, Sony's actually talking to us now." I'm just kidding, kind of.
Jim Ryan had a gag order on everybody.
But no, this is just the game is just in development. And needs more time to be polished and fleshed out and as good as possible because,
Violator the Gamecat Metal Messiah with the $20 tip says, I would love to see Behemoth, Aces of Thunder, and Astrobot all available now and coming soon. Kojima's new Metal Gear Solid VR. That is some wishful thinking.
Metal Gear Solid did have a VR mode.
I want to know what's up with OD on Xbox. Right, that's supposed to be like Kojima's horror game. Like that's the one thing that I'm curious about that's happening over on Xbox. Hopefully it's good. Gramp has barbecue or Gamecat with the Australian $5 tip says, let's go completely insane. $50 price drop on PSVR 2 with Resident Evil 9 included for free. Down. Mm-hmm. I'm totally down.
Yeah.
Lara May VR with the 65 Sekiros saying, sending good vibes to this beautiful community. Sending good vibes right back to you, Lara. Darth Vader the Game Cat with the $10 tip says, I can't wait for Army Zombie Army. I said it right the first time. Just pretend.
That's a long name. That's a long name.
Army, zombie, army, VR.
It's all SEO. It's to get higher ranking. Just zombie, army, zombie, guns,
That's how it works.
zombie, army.
Zombie army looks so freaking sick.
Can't wait.
He says
Everything
tons of
they're saying
weapons,
about that.
tons of zombies, and I really hope it has as deep of a progression system as the Flat game. Really excited. Vader is a fan of the zombie army games. Flat.
I will be soon.
It's one of my most anticipated games of the year.
Yeah.
JPEG Q with a $2 tip says wanted Call of the Wild, the Angler on PSVR 2.
Ooh.
Call of the Wild, the Angler.
The Horizon fishing game. Yeah.
I would have rather had a Horizon fishing game than a Horizon climbing game.
Oh my god.
I like fishing.
Cry harder, AJ.
What if the Sony showcase? It's the Herman Hulse goes, and before you go, just one more thing, and it's Catch and Release 2.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna say Killzone fishing game.
And while everyone is losing their shit in the chat, going, "What the fuck is this?" We're there going, "Yeah."
Dude, I don't know what's happening over there. What's his name? Steven Garber made.
Oh, Jason Garber. You always call him Steven.
I keep calling him Steven, thinking that I keep getting it wrong, and that Steven's the correct name. It's Jason Garber, who made Catch and Release. Man, that was still one of my favorite interviews that I've done on the channel. Absolutely love that guy. Have not heard from him since before COVID. And I really hope that everything's going okay with him, and desperately hope that if everything is going okay with him, that at some point we get a Catch and Release game on PSVR 2. When I told AJ
let's find the guy first. Let's make sure he's.
Because I'm trying to get it all out there. I don't want to be like,
then we'll start port begging.
Okay,
Brian.
That's fine.
Brian doesn't care if he's alive or not. He's just like, I just want Catch and Release.
Well, I mean,
It's good.
when I told AJ that I was going to do a new segment on PSVR this week, and it was going to be why isn't this game on PSVR 2 yet?
Right.
And he's like, what game are you starting with? I said Immortal Legacy. He's like, you're fucking crazy to Catch and Release. And I was like, yeah, maybe Catch and Release would have been a smarter pick.
Yeah, definitely, because a lot of people are saying they would like to see COD come to VR, so I think that would be a really good choice.
Yeah.
Right. I would like Grouper to come to PSVR.
I love you, Miles. I'm so happy to be doing the show with you now.
Same as, buddy.
All right, guys. Speaking of which, it is time for some 20 questions. Miles is the host this week.
Yeah, our friendship is over now. It's on. We're not friends anymore.
Yeah, that might actually be the case once you realize what game this is. Oh my goodness!
So you guys know how this works. AJ,
What game is this?
Miles
What
is
game
the
am I
host.
doing?
Miles has picked out a PSVR 1 or PSVR 2 game, and it's up to me and AJ and all of you out there in the chat to figure out what game it is. We've only got 6 minutes
God.
and 20 yes or no questions to figure it out.
God.
Miles, have you picked out a game?
Yeah, I guess so.
You guessed. Why are you? What? How? Okay.
I thought I've got to guess the game that I'm picking.
I don't think that's how this works.
I've guessed it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. AJ, are you ready?
Yes.
On our mark. Get Dez's and goes. Go ahead, AJ. Kick it off.
Is it on PSVR 1?
No.
Oh, I guess we knocked out that in one question. Okay. Has this developer made other PSVR 2 games other than this game?
Why'd you say that?
I don't know.
Well, yeah. Why? When you put it that way. Sorry. Ask that question
All right.
again.
Okay, well, now I'm changing the question. Has this developer made other PSVR 1 or PSVR 2 games?
No.
Okay.
Did you get this game removed from the store?
No. I'm not.
All right. Would this be a game that's like in discussions for our top 25 lists?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I'll do that. As
He didn't even
free.
hesitate.
AJ can have that one for free.
All right. He didn't even hesitate, AJ, so it's probably pretty bad.
Probably pretty bad. Is it an arcade shooter?
No. That's full.
Huh. It's maybe not an arcade shooter. Are you shooting guns in the game though?
No.
Okay.
Is it based on a popular IP?
I would say yeah, but probably not in the way that you're thinking.
Like, so it's like probably inspired, loosely based kind of thing.
I can't get more specific. I mean,
Okay.
I mean,
yeah. Let's go with yeah.
okay.
But I wouldn't lean towards that question because I think it will lead you in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I've already forgotten it.
Okay. Is there any multiplayer component?
No.
Okay.
Did we talk about it on today's show?
Nope. That's 8.
Damn.
I feel like we've asked way more than 8.
Did it come out this year?
No.
Does it have multiplayer?
I already asked. He said no.
Oh, shit.
Was it a launch
Actually,
title?
no, it did. Sorry, it did come out this year.
Oh, then I'm not asking if it's a launch title then. Okay, so it came out in 2024. That narrows it down significantly. Is it a puzzle game? AJ, it's Madison.
No, I wouldn't say it's a puzzle game.
It's not Madison. That would be a top 25.
Yeah,
So not puzzle, not top 25. Came out this year.
No, it's not a puzzle game. There are minor puzzling elements, but it's not a puzzle game.
Puzzling elements, like does it have any puzzling places? Sorry, bad joke. AJ, we gotta figure this shit out.
You're halfway there. 10.
Okay. I don't even know what came out this year. Is it roguelite, or roguelike?
No.
That eliminates like half the catalog.
Is there photography in this?
I had to look up what year it was. Is there photography in this? No, there isn't.
Does it have a retro art style of any kind?
No.
There goes Painted Town Red. There goes Ancient Dungeon.
Is it a platformer?
No, it's not a platformer.
Oh, no, shit. I shouldn't have said that because it's...
Does it have any survival mechanics?
It does. That's 15.
I think the chat knows what's up.
think it's Survivor Man.
I think it's a Survivor Man. Does this take place in snowy weather with a narrator that keeps popping up
And sucks.
telling you what
Wow,
to
that's
do?
really
Very specific.
really specific.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does.
Yeah, but it's accurate.
Miles, is it Survivor Man?
It is Survivor
VR.
VR, The Descent. It is indeed. Well done. And the popular IP was like, I never heard of the IP, but it's a popular show in the States, so that's why I was a bit,
that's the right thing to say. It
Definitely.
is based technically is correct.
Mm.
Yeah.
I had an all right time with this game, but it's not one I'd recommend. Like, it had some quirky moments in it. Had a jump scare in it for me, which I did not expect. But I did learn a little bit about what to happen if my helicopter crashes on the side of a mountain. So yeah, there we go.
Just start hallucinating.
That's it. Just hope that
Hope it's all real.
Just hope he just turns up and then hands you a knife. He turns up and goes, "Oh, you need a knife. Here's a knife. Oh, cheers." That might change the chances of my survival, being handed a knife by a ghost.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm going to avoid this situation in the future by refusing all helicopter rides from
From a ghost.
from anyone.
So yeah. What did you learn from this survival game? I learned to listen to the ghost.
All right, you guys. It is time for us to get out of here. Thank you so much. It feels good to be doing this 1 day a week. We have a little bit more flexibility, going a little bit longer episodes, talking about like literally everything that comes up. It was a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for being here. Don't forget to subscribe to AJ over at PSVR Underground. The link's in the description. Don't forget to subscribe to Miles at youtube.com/Miles. Link is in the description. If you can't type that in yourself, it's okay. It's all right there for you. Come join our Discord. That's where all cool shit happens. Like the Sunday multiplayer meetups, like constant discussions like this, literally 24/7. It's kind of crazy. Thank you to everybody who supports the channel. Thank you to everybody who helps us out financially by supporting us on patreon.com/withoutparolegames, by being a member over here on YouTube, by tipping during the show. Thanks to everybody who hangs out during the show, keeps us entertained while we try to keep you entertained, and everybody who sits back and watches the show and doesn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there and love you just as much. Here it is, you guys. Your clip of the week.
Fuck out of here, dude.
Let's cue the cat, AJ.
Get the fucking cat back. So I want to say, see you guys next week. Actually, see you tomorrow, kind of. But the Shades of Grey Matter. Thank you so much, my friend. Secrets of. See you later. Rad Boy in the house tonight.
Hey, Rad Boy. Hey, Rad Boy. I hope your legs feel
Rad
better.
Boy.
He said he's got an infection in both of his legs. That's fucking crazy. I hope your legs feel better.
Suck out the venom. Scott, the PSVR game cat for life. Thank you so much, man. Mark you, the Sleepless Night Underground Gamecat, Elite Name Squad in the house. Kyson, fist bump to you. Thunder Cat in the house tonight. So is Random Toxie, the Eraser Head Baby Game Cat.
Just rolls off the tongue.
Shapeshifter, the Amorphous Game Cat. I wonder if that's a reference to the band Amorphous, the metal kind of trippy metal band. Anyways, Grandpa Barbecuer Game Cat. Yeehaw! Get him, Scooter. Steve IRE says the arse is the most succulent.
Wow.
Totally just read that at random. Dan Kiefer says no mention of ass jerky. I'm impressed. What's with all the ass talk here?
I don't know. Not sure what happened. Let's keep moving.
Mad_vegan, thank you so much, man. Looper, the Underground Game Cat Elite Name Squad in the house. Awesome Tatum, what up, man? Ben L, the Game Cat Army. Good says, did any of y'all go back and watch any of the actual episodes? I don't know what he's talking about.
What
Acavario, Jin 007, Alice in to chill. A license to chill. Oh my goodness. Berber Cat in the house tonight. It says, are you a pigeon?
Wow. I mean, maybe. I don't know if that's very. Maybe.
We are. Maybe we're all pigeons.
Wait, are we still playing 20 questions?
My angel. Actually, I think is the first person. Nope. Rad Boy said Survivor Man.
It was all right.
Yep. Johnny Rypop, the Stray Cat in the house tonight. What up, homie? Good night. We love you.
Well, don't you want to know what happened this week?
No.
No. Oh,
that was a Monday segment.
you guys can complain.
How many endings? Okay, fine. No, hold on.
AJ at PSVRunderground.com. Please send all of your hate mail.
We have to see what happened this year. No, two years ago. What are we? I don't even remember.
All right, you ready for this? Here we go. This is last year, right around this time. Let's check it out. It's exactly the same headline. It's official. It's next week. PlayStation Showcase, over an hour, new PSVR2 games. Holy shit. It happened last year around this time. So maybe it's happening again this year.
It is kind of that season, isn't it?
Like, yeah, it's showcase
summertime. Yeah.
It's the season to be jolly.
Although it's not summer yet, but it's close. But yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. I've actually got a better one. I only picked that one because the headline looked the most identical. Let's see what was happening on this day 2 years ago. Here it is. Better than an analog stick? VR treadmills.
Oh my God.
They're really going to take off. They're going to take off, Brian.
Oh my god.
VR treadmills. Listen,
I think I remember that conversation and just being like miserable.
yeah. It wasn't a fun conversation. Hey, listen. VR treadmills have their defenders. I just like so many of us are looking forward to at the end of a long day getting into VR and sitting down and playing. And on top of that, does this really? Yes, we're adding to the immersion by running around, but really, it's we already tried this with the.
I'm not strapping myself to a fucking hamster wheel to play VR.
I was going to say, there's the emotion of running around while being like grabbed round the waist by a toddler or something.
Exactly.
Like kids. That's what it feels like.
Right. I do think that VR treadmills will be very cool in the future. I don't like the way that it's set up at the moment.
Once it's a wireless floor mat that is super cheap.
That
maybe.
Disney Magic Mat, once that becomes mainstream, that'll be the game changer.
Yeah. 5 people will have it.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, we talk so much
it'll be
about
really popular.
Yeah, for them.
we talk so much about friction in VR right now when it comes to like simple things like putting a VR headset on your face, and like we've eliminated all the other issues, right? We don't have the breakout box anymore. We don't have light tracking. VR, the friction to get into VR is less than it's ever been. We're trying to remove these things, right? Telling everybody, hey, get on this weird ass treadmill to just walk around in the game. I think it's asking a lot, but like I said, I do think that there's hope for the future.
Yeah, so we can become gerbil people.
But that's a game I want to play. VR hamster.
Gerbil people VR.
All right, you guys. Have a good night. We love you all.
Stranger things have happened.